Love you, Linda. Love you.
The courthouse the other day in the hallway, you're singing "Oh Happy Day."
One word prayer. Justice, where are you?
And everybody, welcome to Justice Through TV. Michel Bryant here in Dedham. Linda Kenny Bodden, how are you? We're backwards. We're backwards again.
We're backwards. Wait a second. I can't do it. I'm not an administrator right now.
Okay, I'm gonna try. Oh, there we go.
Oh, there you go.
I feel
Ooh,
so.
I
I thought it was
better.
heat. I thought it was heat stroke. It was getting to me. It is brutal here.
Let me tell you that, you know what? I just want to let you know that I can count, and this is number 15. Trip 15.
Visits?
15
I'll take
in
your-
the Dedham, Canton, Staunton area. Many have been multi-day, so not 15 days, just trip 15 since this just before the Karen Reed trial started, actually.
Yeah. After we transitioned from the Law and Crime Trial 1 to Justice Through TV Trial 2, you can see the folks gathering there behind me. First of all, the beauty of being one of the few that really gives a rip. We're here, and I'm not competing with anybody for my normal space. So the courtroom, of course, right across the street there, and it will be in the large courtroom today. So I talked to Chief Rose. I went over to ask where it was going to be, what the situation was.
Yes.
Yeah, well, he always asks me the same question. So did Boston, they ever get back to you? I said, no, they're blowing me off. They're ignoring me. Every email, every voicemail, they just blow me off. They don't care. And then, of course, well, are you still doing it? I said, well, that trial's over. So, yeah, I guess I can continue if I just like the, beating my head against the wall process.
I think we should now ask for one for Aidan Kearney's case. Why not? I mean, let's do it. Let's do it twice, and then we have another lawsuit for violation.
There you go.
Rules, okay?
Yeah. So Jennifer, we're coming for you. Jennifer's the one in the credentials office. But Chief Rose said, well, you'll get in today. Thanks, dude. I actually left my other
nice
credentials.
Guy,
He's a super nice guy. I left my credentials back at the office, hanging on my skeleton. So I don't even have them today anyway. But I think people know who I am, and I'll probably sneak in. So that'll be 2:00, and we believe they won't even open the doors till right at 2. They're on lunch hour, right?
And I'm going to stay on. We're not going.
Of course.
I'm going to stay on. You're watching it with us. We're going to. Is the court giving a Zoom link? Did we determine that? Or?
I think it's Boston 25. I think is what Dizzy mentioned. So, but we just don't know what the transmission is going to be. Is it going to be an individual link? Is it going to be something through the court system? Hopefully that will be figured out in the next hour or less. So anyway,
I was going to post something. But I can't because Joey Kane gifted one Justice Through TV membership. You have to understand. Mine has a new phone. So what happened?
Now, don't be blaming me and my new phone. Wait a minute.
No, because I think some of the settings changed, and so you're on your own when it comes to posts.
There you go. That's a Diz I think is helping out, and thanks, Joey Kane. I appreciate that, man.
And another one, I see another one too. I mean, it wouldn't be Justice Through TV without Joey Kane.
Exactly right. Something
really
would feel off.
Want them, and boy, I tell you, we had so many people who are thankful for them. And yes, we are covering Turtleboy. We're covering Aidan Kearney. Aidan Kearney's been on our show at least 3 times. And it's been wonderful, giving us a lot of time. The first time, an hour and a half, I think he stayed. And we feel the need to cover him because what we think is happening to him is simply unfair, right?
Oh yeah, and obviously I've talked to him many times while in the field. I'll talk to him again today after this hearing. Let's talk about the hearing as best we can. It's a little shrouded in mystery, right? We know that there have been a total of 17 witness intimidation or related counts charged against Aidan Kearney, Turtleboy. 6 of them were dismissed in an underlying proceeding from a few weeks ago. Today it's kind of a hodgepodge. We think the 17th alleged incident, which was the one at D&E Pizza the night I was on the sidewalk there. Will the Glarer, remember Will the Glarer and
window intimidation. The window intimidation.
Yes, you're intimidating me through glass. Yeah. So we think that one has got something happening today, but there are also a number of motions and other matters that have been collecting, a lot of housekeeping issues, probably because they were waiting to see what would happen in the Karen Reed case. There she is.
And Donnie. Hey, Dina Wahlberg. Hey,
can hear her.
Hi, everyone.
I wear for your glasses. I
love it.
Hold it. Can you come on?
I just cleaned up my neck, my
Oh,
brain.
Hold on. Wait, hold on a second. And your name, sir?
Joey Kane. Linda,
Joey,
anytime you need to stay in Cambridge, just come and see my place.
Oh my God, I'm so excited,
Joey Kane.
No, Joey Kane. I was just going to usurp Joey with Donnie Now Wahlberg getting a Justice Serve TV membership. But Joey's got
Hey,
that.
thanks, buddy.
I'm
Thanks, man. We
that's
wouldn't be
the love
able to
song.
do it without you, brother.
Joey, hey,
Take
Joey,
care,
love, double love. Double love.
Hey,
love.
Linda, how's the AC right now? Because we're all dying out here. It is so hot that Jen McCabe is somewhere around here because it feels like hell is here.
Yeah, Dina is glowing. I am sweat. I'm schwitzing, and I'm not even Jewish, and I'm schwitzing.
Did you notice, Dina, that he got a haircut just to come up?
Oh, that's right. See, I got my hair. I got a Dedham haircut.
Yeah. I haven't had a haircut in years. It just stays like this, just flows. Me and my crooked glasses because my ears are warped.
I'm so excited that you're here and to meet Joey in person.
I know that was a shocker. Did you know Joey? This guy donates day in and day out.
Really?
Yeah, and
oh my God, I love when people are
able
to do that.
Did he walk away? I was trying to give him because I learned the "I love you" sign, and "I love you very much" is also that. Okay, so you know, and it's so great.
How's life been with you, Linda?
Well, actually, it was so nice to take a couple of days off, I have to tell you, and catch up on some of my other, like my clients are like, hey, we're still here.
I know it's a weird transition. We're all learning it after doing what we've done. It's a weird transition to go back to, but it's nice. It's family time, and we're all wishing Karen the best that she gets to enjoy life now. And this Sunday. Back at Legacy Place for Justice for Boston Police Officer John O'Keefe.
Right, and we've been covering we did a thing on the town hall, the supervisors meeting or whatever they want to call themselves.
Yeah, we've got.
It's Dedham. We have a street sweeper. We can't hear nothing.
No emergency vehicles yet.
All right, I'm gonna let you guys get back, but I seen him going live, and I had to sneak up behind his back at least one
time's sake.
All time's sake. All right.
Thank you.
Bye, Linda.
Bye, honey. I love it. We got to see Joey Kane. I'm so excited. And there's a guy membership.
I just thought he was a nice guy. I thought he was just a nice person. He was dropping off a little snack for me, and of course, you don't know people. I don't know. And they said it's Joey Kane. I said no, it's not. Yes, it's Joey Kane.
It's so great. That's so great. So great. Yeah. Peter A. learning to paint became a YouTube member. Wow. Okay. Seriously? I mean, that is so great. I mean, I should take up a hobby. I think I should take up a hobby. Let's see, poker and shopping. No, I don't have time.
Learn a new language.
I know. I feel, whenever I feel well, I had to maybe rethink this though, because somebody who knows 5 languages, and God bless him for that. Okay, it's amazing because I always feel, that I as an American, I don't know enough language. I can't really communicate like most people. But my mic is off again. My mic fell off.
I couldn't. I'm listening with an IFB, so it's not exactly true fidelity. I couldn't tell.
Okay, well, it was much better. My mic fell off. It fell. I got so excited, my mic came off. Okay.
I'm my back on you here. Sorry.
Yeah.
What
are you looking at?
What's happening?
But anyhow, there's somebody in the news today, and we know it's true that what happened. Yuri Buchanan, who needed a
he needed a reassignment. He's rehomed. He got rehomed.
He has been rehomed, from what we heard.
So his office was in the DA's office, right?
It wasn't the DA's office. Now
with
he's in
Michael
South
Morrissey.
Boston. Yeah. Right? Now he's moved to South Boston.
I know Siberia. I don't know. Is that Boston?
I just got so excited. I'm sorry. I'm so excited seeing Joey and I still am. I can't take it.
I know. It's amazing. Because we see these names and we acknowledge them and we appreciate them, and then to see them in the flesh, very exciting.
Yeah. Let me tell you. Let me read to you Aidan's tweet about. since we are up there to cover Aidan. And we probably should look up his reminder. His hearing starts at 2 p.m. in Norfolk Superior Court. Okay. Seating is limited to 90 to 100 people. WBZ has the pool camera. At 3:45, he will be premiering the RO violation trial from June on the Turtleboy YouTube channel. It's 5.5 hours long.
Oh my gosh!
At 1.5 speed. But Howie Carr had posted something, and Aidan reposted it, confirmed in caps. Yuri Buchanan out in caps at the Norfolk County DA's office as of yesterday. State police confirmed this AM that he's been transferred to South Boston. Here's what Howie Carr wrote. Quote, the hulking moron from Ukraine who speaks pidgin English is the third of Meatball's MSP thugs from Karen Reed attempted lynching to be rehomed. Proctor fired, Brian Tully reassigned, and now Yuri. Turtleboy had rumor first Saturday night, now confirmed developing story. Okay.
Anybody have a theory as to why that might have happened? Anyone?
How about that we all? How about that we? Theory. How about that we all complained to the commissioner and said that he was an embarrassment to the Massachusetts State Police, and then we all complained about somebody else named Never Say Devers.
Oh yeah, she been elevated to Walmart security?
Yeah, well, apparently she may be on leave now. Whether it's taken by her or whatever, but that's the story that is going around. We're going to need some confirmation on that. I read that supposedly Karen Reed confirmed it herself that she's on leave, but we'll see. So, I mean, talk about the two people that must have caused a much, shall I use this word, mayhem at the commissioner's office, right? All right. There we are.
Hey, check this out.
What do you have for lunch?
I was looking for Michael Morrissey.
Ooh.
There he is. Listen
Michael
to
Morris.
Listen to
Michael
this.
Morrison. Michael Morrison.
That's AI.
Michael Morrison.
Listen to that round of boos.
Michael Morrison. Signo de apertura de interrogación.
¿Cuál es? O es gordo.
So that was the 4th of July.
Again.
He got booed again. That was the 4th of July parade. I was wondering where he was. Well, he was afloat in the parade, clearly. And, he was not well received. So, speaking, we talk about Aidan. Obviously,
this is my partner here. Okay.
Obviously, we're here to see what's happening in these cases that should have gone away with, if they should ever have been brought, and they shouldn't have, but they should have gone away with the acquittal of Karen Reed. And I was talking to Dina earlier, and we'll post this. I had kind of a freewheeling conversation with her. Freewheeling with Dina, I know, hard to believe, but we did. And so we'll post that again a little bit later on today. But I was talking about the fact, ironically, that all of these witnesses, for the most part, that Aidan Kearney has allegedly intimidated or had intimidated prior to the trial, most of them didn't even testify. Right?
Oh, yes. But you know what they're going to say?
They were intimidated.
They were intimidated.
Of course. So we know better. We know it was the Brennan plan of attack, and for good reason, because they are horrible witnesses. But it does make it interesting that the guy who is being charged with their intimidation and continues to address those charges, the witnesses never testified, and for reasons we know had nothing to do with intimidation.
No, absolutely not. And can you see and think about this? My mic is bad again.
No, it sounds good. I hear it. Sounds good.
Okay. My mic was good when I started, but then my Italian came out.
You gesticulated it away from you.
I just I gesticulated with happiness.
Hey, so
wait. There's a sign behind you.
Yeah. There he is. Everybody knows Scott, or at least they know his signs. Scott McGinnis here.
What's
Hi, Linda.
T-shirt?
You know I had a sign bomb, Michael.
I know, it's great. Let me see what your T-shirt says. Ask me what his T-shirt says.
Oh yeah, he can explain this. Go ahead.
Motorcycles here. I can't say.
It says motorcycles have 2 wheels, not 3. If you know, free turtle.
Free Turtleboy. All right, can I do my I love you? So I love you, Scott. I love you. I love you very much. I've learned this. This is so good. Okay.
Love you too, Linda. Your guys' channel is awesome.
Yeah, we're here up here 15 times. We're not letting this go.
I may corral him later when we do our 6 o'clock show. I may find him. I may track him down. So
Scotty, yeah. I mean, think about this. From when you were starting April 1st, and they were going to pick the jury, and you were walking with Scotty, who had the big garbage bag over that side.
Because he wasn't. That's how bad it was. For those who don't remember, his flag was okay, but any sign that supported Karen Read or took shots at the authorities, he had to put a black trash bag over this. So ridiculous. And we were walking right here, right across the sidewalk, when not only was not only were he and I stopped, but Mr. Delgado, who was with us, who had the sticker on his jacket, he was stopped and said, "That's got to go." And we see it. We caught the video of it physically ripped off of the guy's jacket. And then I was told,
microphone.
Yes, exactly. And I was told, "You've walked by here 5 times. I don't want to see it again." I mean,
yep.
Are you
I want
kidding?
to walk by again, right? And that's we should go back and play the greatest hits. Maybe play that tonight, because that's what started this whole. That's how you met Scotty, and Tom was also around there, and Delgado was there. But you were walking from where Dina was, where everyone was congregated way away, okay, and walking to go get a bagel at the bagel place.
We were transiting the buffer zone. That's where Scott had to put the sign in a bag, and then I had nothing. I was just recording, but I had no signage. I didn't. Anyway,
right. and you were
that's
doing
history.
But you were doing an interview, and that's what started you bringing the lawsuit against them for to get rid of the buffer zone, to make it a First Amendment zone.
Exactly, and that's what spurred 3 of the 4 ultimate lawsuits, which led to what we saw on the day of the verdict.
Wait, I'm waving.
Hey, how you doing? Nice to see you.
I'm waving. Now,
this is interesting. I'm under a little portico here at the Registry of Deeds, in part because I want to get in the shade, but then it's been sprinkling. I don't know. I think Armageddon is coming to Dedham here. But these guys who come in and out of the Registry of Deeds, why? It's a nice bathroom. We got a nice bathroom down there.
That's how you met everybody. You always go into the
right. Hey, you got to go.
All right, we have a question from Josh H. Legal question. Can the recent Albert, I can't put it up, but I can read it. There it goes. Can the recent Albert McCabe media appearances play any in Turtleboy's case? Really interesting.
It is interesting.
That's a great question, actually, Josh H.
So let's look at it. Let's look at it from an evidentiary standpoint. And as we saw in the Karen Read trial, they used clips from broadcast performances. So on an evidentiary level, I would say yes. The question then becomes, okay, if it could come in, if it's admissible, is it relevant really? I mean, I guess it depends on how you want to use it, what was actually said. We know there was no direct reference to Aidan Kearney in the interviews I saw. Maybe there's some more rough clips that are more directly on point. We don't know, but you might want to send a subpoena to ABC or to whomever else did these to get that video.
Yeah, no, I agree, because that may have been mentioned. I mean, they played that. The Commonwealth played that game. They said the subpoena, right, for the rough clips.
If
so
I'm
why
the
not
interviewer,
here?
I mean, I'm no Matt Gutman, but if I'm the interviewer,
you're better. You're the best. You have an Emmy.
I'm going to say, what about those witness intimidation allegations? I would certainly want them to address that. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. Maybe it never hit the big screen. So I'd want it.
Yeah, you want to tell me that they were intimidated? Okay, come on. First of all, I mean, that statute's unconstitutional, all right? You compare that statute with any other statute, that's not witness intimidation.
No.
It's simply not, okay?
It's very different here in Massachusetts, where they allow you to have hurt feelings, basically. If your
my feelings were hurt.
And all you have to show for it is, well, I said my feelings were hurt.
Right. That's it. And that's witness intimidation. My feelings were hurt. Because I have kids in the school district. I make peanut butter sandwich. I sell pizza.
I'm just a soccer mom.
I sell pizza. Oh my gosh. And remember, the pizza parlor, by the way, is according to reports, is now selling Justice pizzas. The people allegedly intimidating are making money off Justice pizzas. I'm sure that hasn't gotten unnoticed.
Interesting. I hear the pizza there is not really the key product, but that's all I can say at this point. So yeah, I'm waiting to see, what kind of crowd gathers beyond what we see. You can see them right there. Clearly, as I talked to Dina about earlier, when the acquittal came down, or the multiple acquittals for Karen Reed, a lot of people were like, done, we're out of here. But she wanted to make the message very clear that this is not over. And Aidan Kearney is the next step. But there's also Sandra Birchmore, and there's also Mr. Walsh, which is a whole different case that we are going to get into, because we came to it first blush, as we did with the Karen Reed case. And it's a nasty case. It's nasty.
It's a nasty case. I mean, I have the problem with that case is that the corruption and the inefficiency, let me put it that way, or the inability to process a scene properly and get a warrant may put a case that really is a horrible case where a woman has gone missing, and where if you listen to the April 23rd, April, I forget actually the date. It's in 2023, April 2023 hearing, in the chisel hacksaw that was in a rug that had been in his house was a piece of bone. Okay, now I don't know what the results. I'm sure the labs are in for that. So that one, because of the lack of getting warrants in the past, just like Karen Reed, where the phone goes missing and the phone data goes missing. Here, they went and got the phone data. That may cause that case to be in danger, in some way.
Yeah, and I think the tougher part of the case for folks to get past is that the crime itself is brutal.
Brutal.
And as far as I know, maybe there would be other suspects if, in fact, the investigation had been more properly done. But there's no alternative theory.
Yeah. Gina, by the way, Gina G is watching all this corruption from Ireland. Love you too. Thank you, Gina. Thank you very much for that. And this case has garnered this kind of attention. Both Karina, member for 3 months, excited for Turtleboy, glad to see so much support. That's my Michel Bryant. He's up there. 3 hours this morning.
I mean, I'm sure folks saw the Alan Jackson interview on Aidan's show on Saturday. It was so good. I always say that a great guest makes the host look great, and Alan Jackson is so good at being Alan Jackson. He's the best guy at being Alan Jackson. And,
I know. I spent 6 months with Alan Jackson in the courtroom.
I know you know that very well. And he was on for a little more than an hour, and he dodged and weaved on the things that he obviously couldn't talk about because he's got the movie deal in the works and all. But he talked about a lot.
Oh, yeah.
For those who haven't seen it, they should go back and check that out.
Absolutely.
Well worth the hour spent, I'll tell you.
And I think this was like if you want to use, my manicure again, you want to use which I won't, because I'm being a lady and we may have 16-year-olds on the show right now. This was like one of those messages to people who were saying, you see, Karen Reed just used Aidan Kearney. There's a rift between them. All this kind of bullshit that was going on. That was the middle finger to all of them. Alan was like, it was a great interview. And
he made it clear we're not distancing ourselves from you. She's not, I'm not, the team's not. But we're all taking a breath here. At that point, it was just past the 2-week mark, coming up on 3 weeks now. And so anybody who thinks that is just a moron. My word, he didn't say that.
No, he didn't say that.
Yeah, everybody was quick to suggest that, see, they were getting over on Aidan Kearney, and now he's useless to them. So.
Yeah, you go back. But can we put the previous one up? We didn't read it before Joanne Platypus. But let me read Joanne's, then we'll go back to the previous comment. Thank you, Joanne Jetta Platypus. We also know that Jetta Platypuses. Platypus is actually not Jetta Platypuses, but platypuses can sing. Linda Michael, I'm glad you're seeing this mass shit to the end, hoping you're staying around for the Birchmore case. Free the turtle. Yes, we are definitely staying around for the Birchmore case. You all know why we're staying around. I learned of it separately from the fact that my husband was involved in it, but I am appalled. As a matter of fact, we'll be announcing as soon a very special guest for July 16th. I'm not going to tell you who it is right now, but mark that in your calendar. That will be a Sandra Birchmore show with somebody you won't want to miss.
Just could you tell me before we get to the 16th? Just let me know.
I'll let you know before we get to the 16th.
Fill me in.
I know.
Here's the one you were looking for, I think.
Okay, Danielle, yes, I'm so happy Justice Surf TV is staying and reporting on Aidan's bogus charges. The implications of the charges are terrifying for everyone. I appreciate the coverage and the ground reporting. Thanks, JSTV. I throw that to you, Michael. I know these are hard for you to read, which is why I'm reading them.
Yeah, it's this weather here. Sounds like I'm always bitching about the weather. It's just bizarre. It's a weird combination of something weird's going to happen. I don't know if the skies are going to open up or what.
Well, they usually do. I mean, let me put it this way: there's been very few days that you've been there that has been nice and
perfect. Yeah.
That been perfect.
Actually, the verdict day may have been the best weather day and other day than many we've had. So, but I'm excited I have this location because nobody else cared enough to be here. So this is fine with me because I can bam right into the courtroom, come back. What we'll do is the plan is you are going to do your thing while they're setting up and I'm getting in court. Then we're going to run the hearing. Right afterwards, you'll come back on, and I will try to get some post-hearing sound and then rejoin. And then depending on how that all falls together, 6 o'clock tonight, back here to kind of do a sum up. We can't assume that people have the luxury of just kind of hanging out during the day when this is live. So we want to come back at 6 o'clock, give folks a recap. We'll bring on, maybe I'll wrangle Scott or somebody. A couple of folks I'm going to talk to before, after the hearing to get them lined up to come on either tonight or in the near future. There's some players we have been pursuing.
Yeah. And at that time, we'll try to also deal with the actual indictment, because maybe some other charges will be dismissed today, to see what's left. And we should probably also pull up tonight the statute. As I'm thinking, I'm making notes to myself, the actual statute, because I think that statute is so outrageously unconstitutional.
Yep. And it's really just one nugget that they've added to what most other jurisdictions use, and that's the problem.
Right, and but that's a big problem, and some of the stuff is funny. I mean, you think about this. Aidan spent 60 days in jail. That's 60 days away from his family, away from his friends, away from his kids. Right, arrested. They can't make an arrest in the Sandra Birchmore case, obviously, right? And what did they arrest? They arrested Aidan, Dr. Turtleboy, and they arrested Erica Walsh, and then maybe a couple other people, Bow, I guess, who I don't even know what happened to his charges for.
And originally they had the Canton Nine that were arrested for protesting with picket signs at a Walgreens. Those charges were dismissed.
Yeah.
It's clear if you look at the case as it unfolded in the Karen Reed case. Remember, they added Aidan Kearney to the witness list. Remember, like there's a chance in hell he's going to be testifying. Why'd they do it? Because Brendan wanted him out of the courtroom, so they had to then fight that to get him to be allowed to stay in, except when witnesses accused of intimidating were testifying, which really boiled down to Jen McCabe. That was it, because nobody else testified. So that was ineffective.
Java Cat, thank you. Wishing Aidan the best of luck today. Thank you, Linda, Michael, for your wonderful coverage. Again, I'm going to repeat that because I want to thank Michael he's the one who really makes these 3-hour trips up and 3-hour trips back, and twice his car has broken down. Whatever.
Okay. I think it's going to be all right.
I think it's going to be okay with it. But on the interview we talked about with AJ on Saturday night with Aidan Kearney, who, by the way, had fabulous questions. And then after Alan left, he had all these other questions he wanted to go through that he wanted to add that he didn't get to, that he couldn't get to. They were all great.
Understandable.
If you don't think that Aidan's a true journalist. They touched upon that. And Alan, there was not a chance in hell they were calling you. Not a chance in hell. They just wanted you out, which is what we all knew. It was dirty pool. And you reminded me of something. Whoa, what is that? Is that?
Remember, there's no buffer zone anymore. So
people have
all of the signage they want, the horn honking. I have not seen, the crew, the state police. I haven't seen any. They descended during Karen Reed pre-trial and trial and post-trial. There were a couple of dozen. There were folks from the Quincy Police Department and all these other nearby communities that they wanted. They sent people here to really end up riding around on their bicycles. I asked one of them, is there much happening that they need you? He said, not really. He said, it's not like Antifa in Boston, I'll tell you that. So they came down like a vacation to help out. Well, there's none of that presence here. I've seen the court officers, Chief Rose, and a few of the others that I've recognized. I don't see any state troopers.
Now, who's going to be in the courtroom with him? Do we know? Is it going to be Mr. Bradle, or is it going to be Mr.
I've been told that both Betterow and Bradle will be there. I don't know for sure. That's what I've been told.
And who represents the Commonwealth in today's hearing?
It has been Special Prosecutor
Cosgrove.
Thank you. But he's special. He's a very special prosecutor. That's what we expect.
Yeah. And by the way, Quincy, we both learned, at least I learned, even though I spent time up there, is it's like John Quincy Adams, but it's pronounced Quincy.
No. Here's another Massachusetts word for you, because I'm listening to like BZ on the way up, and I forgot about this one. How would you pronounce the town of? I'll spell it. Peabody. Peabody.
Peabody?
Wrong. Peabody.
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 Peabody?
Almost like puberty, but Peabody. Yeah, that's Peabody.
Peabody. Okay, I didn't know Peabody.
Yep,
Peabody.
Peabody.
Peabody. Oh
Peabody.
my goodness. Okay, so but you reminded me, and I think I don't know. Are we we're gonna show it after you come out, or now, or
What's
are we
that?
gonna do it tonight? You reminded me. I talked about when we had the show, the wrap-up show, the Lollapalooza, how I couldn't give Hank Brennan when he had the final misrepresentation in that courtroom, and Aidan was there for this. Okay, about the shirts, right? The hole in the back of the shirts.
Oh yeah.
And I could not give him credibility because he had lied when it came, in my opinion. Okay, in my opinion, he had not told the truth when he told the judge that he didn't get the ARCA discovery from Alan Jackson, which turns out to be false. They had. He had not told the truth. Obviously, it was a misrepresentation, whether intentional or not, about Mr. Yannetti giving a interview to Court TV,
Right.
which he had
Violating
not.
The gag order.
Which he had just repackaged, and he definitely, somebody who had Maureen Hartnett on the stand and is so prepared as he had to know, unless he was sandbagged by his own people, which is, you never know, about the shirt not having holes from road rash or from an accident, but the holes had been cut by Maureen Hartnett in the lab. All right, but there was some other incident that we should remember. That if I had known, I probably would have been more. I'm not giving him any benefit of the doubt. Do you remember what that is, Michael?
Boy, you've teed it up, and I'm wondering what it might be. Are you talking about the hearing with Turtleboy with Aidan Kearney, where it was technically under the docket number for Karen Reed, but they never notified the Karen Reed team?
Right. Could we let's take down Java Cat. Let's see if we can get that off.
Okay, let me put on my peepers here.
Yeah, I can't help you. I'm sorry.
It was a moment. There's no doubt about it. It was definitely a moment. Let me see if I can find it here. Stand by. I do this, and then I'm going to do that. Oops, wrong one. Sorry. Wait, enough of him. Wait, hold on. Something's happening. Oh, it's Aidan.
That's Aidan. Okay.
Out of the way. There's Aidan, and there's both Bedero and Bradel. Obviously, Meredith.
Yeah, this is while we're watching Aidan come into all those cheers. Yes, the scheme to revoke his bail also on that new charge without giving him notice, 5 minutes notice. Oh, just a hearing, nothing's happening, and they wanted to scheme to try to revoke his bail. Yeah. Hey, there he goes, Aidan. Your head, unfortunately, Michael, your head is in the way.
Stay out of the way and let that play out.
Yeah, but your head is in the way, unfortunately.
Is my head in the way? How about if I go this way? How's that? Is that better?
That's better. Much better.
So that is confirmed then. Bradel and Bedero are here. We'll see who makes the arguments. And you might have noticed he was hovering around here before he crossed the street. But Tim from the local, I never remember the name of the outlet. All right, then.
Wow. Okay, so I think he went in. Right.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So so we forgot. I forgot about
pessoa.
that.
Pode ser, mas não sei disso e é por isso que me referi. Deixe-me perguntar uma coisa, vereador.
Is that in Spanish?
O nome do intermediário
You wanted to teach us a new language.
Aparece na declaração do policial Túlio, seja no próprio documento ou nos adendos. Terei de revisá-lo, mas pode muito bem acontecer. Bem.
So here you have Hank Brennan making these arguments about the phone. We need the phone of Aidan Kearney, and without notifying. Let me see if I can move this a little bit ahead here. Without notifying the Karen Reed defense team.
I think you got that in Portuguese, by the way, not Spanish.
Is that Portuguese?
You got it in Portuguese, right?
I should know that.
Yeah.
Maybe that was for Paula, the Portuguese or Brazilian speaking Portuguese. Okay, I think this might be getting close to the moment.
But even if we don't hear what he says, it's not what
No,
someone's now calling him El Spanky.
El
Spanky.
Spankador.
Yeah, it's Portuguese.
So
Somebody
here we go.
confirmed, yeah,
Take a look
Portuguese.
at the eye line and the glares and what the bleep is going on here.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah, but now look at Karen Reed. Talk about the stink eye.
Oh, whoa! Look at that. She's not afraid of him. You know? Come on. Whoa.
And then Alan Jackson, one little over the shoulder. Are you effing kidding me, pal?
Yeah, but what's so great is if we could replay that again later on tonight. The Karen Reed, Alan Jackson said that she was not scared. Every single day of her life for 3 years, she's had to wake up facing this. Can you imagine that?
Sure.
Sure. And so actually, there's 5 things. If you add the dirty they try to do on Aidan with revoking his bail, right? Without notice, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of lose track of all the different maneuvers that were attempted, some successful, some not so successful. Today is going to be very interesting just because I think there might be some wild cards in play that relate to potential dismissal of charges or maybe escalation of the pursuit of charges, specifically the D&E Pizza camera mugging incident, we'll call it. I was in the courtroom when that was first introduced. Remember how that played out? This was the day after it happened, right? He had a court hearing already, Aidan Kearney did. That hearing was to address the already existing charges. At the very end of the hearing, Cosgrove is like, yeah, Judge, one more thing. And without notice, out of the blue, he whips out a laptop and is showing the court the D&E shenanigans that night, whatever you want to make of them. Intimidation, I don't know. Bad street theater, perhaps. But he did that without notice, last minute. And that's how the court addressed it. Look, there's been no notice, and Bradel made that argument perfectly. This is ambush. You can't, we're not even talking about the merits. We got to have notice to come here to address this. You can't just drop this on us. Right. And so they set up a new date for that. Ultimately, it comes back to bite him in the ass because, remember, there was an implied waiver. The court found that the prosecution had waived any right to revoke his bail because they did not bring it up the very first time there was a hearing. Not that day, not the sandbag day, but the next time when they heard it, they didn't say a word about it. So they could not use that to violate him back into jail.
So Michael, I have to let you go because I think you have to get in there. But how many people were outside the courthouse? Do you think 100?
Yeah, that's probably a good number. And the court,
not more. I'm looking right now, maybe more than that. People
maybe
are
more
in line
gathering.
To get in.
And the court
people are in line to get
holds
in.
80 or 90, give or take.
I think you should go, and then all of us, the rest of us who are watching Justice Served TV, can
kick some rocks, as we say. Kick some rocks until they
we're not
run
going to kick some rocks. We're gonna talk. We're gonna talk. Kelly,
kicking rocks.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So you go get a seat. Go.
Okay.
Go. Shoot. Okay, you shoot away. Kelly X, hi from England. You two are fabulous. Thank you very much. We're not leaving Aidan out there. I mean, Aidan started this and we need to support him as he's finishing this. Remember, we came into this with no agenda. We had been anchoring one day a week, a couple hours a day in side time, just for fun, on law and crime, because both Michael and I are have full-time law practices, as you all know. And, the first trial, I was with the first trial, and we kind of laughed. I think the day I was on was the snow blower on the first day, the leaf blowers for the snow and the solar cups. And I was like, this is ridiculous how far we came. But then Law and Crime decided they didn't want a commentary from experienced attorneys doing trials every day live at the time they were happening. And then Michael and I said we had started this little channel that we were going to do like 7 minutes a week on something like politics or something, just for fun, just as friends. And then all of a sudden we said last September, well, maybe we should do more. And we didn't really know what we were doing, but we decided to do it, and here we are. We got involved in the Aidan Kearney videos, really, and Karen Reed. And I had known Alan Jackson. Obviously, what intrigued me is I had known Alan Jackson, right, from trying Phil Spector with him for 6 months, 1 year. I could have registered to vote. By the way, let me interrupt and I'll go back to the story. Madeira Beach caregiver. Thank you, Madeira Beach. Hello, one of our great supporters. Rarely that it's hotter and more humid than anywhere but Madeira Beach, Florida. Good grief, Dedham. P.S. I received a nice email from Sergeant Nicholas Barrows. Oh, that is so great. I know that you did. I know that you told everyone on our stream that night that they should donate to the police department. I guess that was supporting him. What a great police department to support an honest cop. Isn't it refreshing? Isn't it so refreshing? It's just absolutely wonderful. Thank you, Madeira Beach caregiver. Okay, Linda Faree, I will try and stop. Part of our shtick with Michael and I is we kind of talk over each other, but I will try to stop and make it's a great suggestion. Thank you very much. But Madeira Beach, thank you very much. But anyhow, I kind of got involved in this whole thing, and we said, oh my goodness, there's a lot more here. And then Michael made his first trip up before the trial started and saw the courtroom, and everyone seemed to be very nice, and we wanted to see where we were going to be, and we made a decision that we would commit to going there. Even though we were small, we were not a mainstream media with all the resources, but we thought that it was an important enough case, and there was so much in there. And then it just blossomed. And then we were like, well, they have to prove their case. I mean, we weren't free Karen Reed supporters. We were the justice system. The prosecution must prove its case beyond a reasonable doubt. And then as it kept happening, and we kept going up there and meeting the people and seeing the absolute, it started being, well, maybe it's just incompetence. No, it was more than that. And started seeing what was happening, and started seeing the data that was being withheld. And Alan Jackson kind of confirmed that he thinks that there was a lot still that was being withheld from them, that they will find out. There's more to come. And as I said, my interest was because I tried a case against Alan Jackson, and we had become sort of far apart friends, but with great respect for each other. And by the way, I do see Idiot Wind gifted 20 Justice Serve TV memberships. Thank you, 20 memberships. Thank you so much. And I stopped with these because they go by so fast. And today, as you know, I don't have the ability to control. Something happened with me being an administrator, so I'm relying on all of our producers to help here, and also Michel Bryant then. So it goes by so fast, I don't get to catch it. And so that's why I kind of stop with regard to it. Yes, thank you for my nails. They were a big hit this weekend. They matched an outfit I was wearing for a dear friend, a business associate that I know who was having a function. Thank you very much. But yeah, so then we became engulfed, and we gave, what Dina would say is, we gave them a voice, that we let them speak, we let them talk, and we gave them a voice. And not only did we give them a voice, when the time came as to whether or not Michel Bryant would become a plaintiff or be a plaintiff in a lawsuit suing Judge Beverly Cannoni, the Commonwealth of the state of Massachusetts, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, I call it the state of Massachusetts, the Massachusetts State Police, we said, go for it, Michael, because if you don't, who can? There was going to be 3 people, starting with Jason Grant, who held signs that had, one was a religious sign. Jason held a religious sign from the Corinthians. It was Michel Bryant with Tom CPU walking through the zone, and Michel Bryant being told that I was on the air at the time and said, could do that again, that he couldn't walk through a sidewalk, gathering news, because he'd already been through 5 times. And I guess the Trooper Hardman thought that was enough for a news gathering organization. And then, of course, we were joined afterwards. There was another suit, Erica Walsh. And then Mr. Delgado also had a suit for the ripping off of the tag. It just was that we were in it. Not only now were we reporting it, we did what we normally don't try to do, is make the news as reporting on it. But we felt that this, and we saw the same things you did as this was going on, that this was not just not proving the case beyond a reasonable doubt, but there was something seriously amiss, shall we say. Something was wrong in Denmark, and I'm not meaning real Denmark. I'm talking Shakespearean type, there was clearly something amiss here. And the jurors all saw it also. The jurors saw it clearly also. And so we continued to give that voice to everybody that was up there. We became friends with Will DeGlarer, who told it pretty much like we saw it also. He told it in a little bit more of a forceful manner. You know, sometimes we did get a little spicy, and we did get hit by YouTube every once in a while with some check marks for being a little spicy. But yeah, something is rotten in Denmark. You know, I don't really mean it's really rotten in Denmark. We're just using Shakespeare. All right, and then it became clear. And then when they started charging reporters, started charging Aidan Kearney over and over again, Aidan Kearney had already been arrested and done a 60 days. And then we learned about the Canton Nine involving one who was basically, a teenager, could have ruined his career. And over what? Rubber duckies? I mean, those little things you got floating in your bathtub that you buy, your kids and grandkids and other kids. And it just was really bad. It was really bad. And yet we understood that there could have been a danger to Karen Read if Hank Brennan was able, in our opinion, to fool that jury into thinking that there had been a collision. And so after that, the first trial, Michel Bryant and I kept saying, as you know, on the air, not that we're not taking credit for Alan Jackson anyway, but look, there's no collision. Go with that. Go with the beyond a reasonable doubt, no collision, because that's what ARCA was saying. And you remember, we now know that there was a letter from the Department of Justice that said that they were releasing the ARCA reports, or the crash daddies, as some of you like to call them, in the interest of the administration of justice. In the interest of the administration of justice, which meant they were releasing Brady material that said she was not guilty, so that the jury in the Commonwealth could hear the truth. And we also heard, as we all knew, that Judge Cannoni, who I started defending when she first came on, to me, she lost my respect during this trial because she wouldn't let the jury hear the truth. There is not another judge, and Alan Jackson confirmed this on Saturday night in his interview with Aidan Kearney, Dr. Turtleboy, that would have not have made the ruling she made. Every judge would have said, look, this was a report that was commissioned either by the Department of Justice or the FBI. I'm not going to tell you the circumstances because it's irrelevant to you. All you can do is for the purposes of assessing their credibility and their bias to know that this report was not commissioned by the defense. And I think that was very important, because it was very clear that that's why the fact that it was commissioned not by the defense but by somebody else, at least the first report that said there had been no collision, showed how important it was and how lack of bias it was. And then the judge allowed that jury to be hoodwinked. She allowed it. Not only did she allow it, I really think at some point she wanted to embarrass them. She wanted to bring them in for these Daubert a day, if you were a defense witness, right? Basically a Daubert a day. She kept the defense going. And I don't know how they did it. Basically almost from January through the trial, every day they were in court on something or another, having to fly in, having witnessed the fly in, having Dr. Russell, who had a Daubert hearing in the first trial. Remember Marie Russell, right? Having a Daubert hearing in the second trial, and then ruling that it was a close call, whether she could say that these were wounds caused by a dog attack. It was no close call at all. What we knew is those certainly weren't wounds caused by a car. It certainly weren't wounds caused by a collision with a fractured taillight. That's what we knew, all right? And then she also brought the ARCA people back in again to do another Daubert hearing, right? Not on their new reports, but on the fact that the stuff they already testified to, on whether or not somehow material or communications were withheld between Alan Jackson and them, right? At so much time, at so much energy, taking away from trial preparation, all that, totally unfair. And I think she had to know how she would have to rule. There was no way, and I think this really, to me, occurred in the middle of It wasn't Rentschler. It was Dr. Wolf, with not the brain surgeon, Dr. Wolf, but the other Dr. Wolf, Crash Daddy Wolf, right, who caused somebody to fall in front of the courthouse as she was changing him. She was so enamored with him, but she was chasing him down. And when he said that the FBI was watching because last year when he had testified, his wife and his kids were subject to such abuse online by certain trolls, basically, my words, not his, but I will use them, certain trolls, right? Idiot Win, thank you very much again. I say thank you again. I interrupt my train of thought here for that Justice Serve TV membership. And so I think at that point, it came into her head, I really can't knock them out, because if I knock them out, I've got the FBI watching. So she did that. All she did is say, you defense, you were guilty of Rule 14 violations. You withheld information about communications. Well, they didn't. They didn't. She made that ruling even before the Daubert hearing. They didn't. It was wrong. It was outrageous. Her conduct was outrageous. Her rulings were outrageous. And the fact that she basically caused the jury to be lied to, it, my words, were outrageous. Madeira Beach caregiver, you are amazing. Thank you for more of your donation. At least now we know Higgins is not in hiding. Well, maybe Higgins is not in hiding, but maybe Higgins is being hidden. Okay. So, I think one of the things we still want to do with Michael Easter, remember him? Michael Easter's been on our show 3 times. He was the witness you never heard from the defense, the police procedures witness who was at the FBI. I'd like to hear him, and I don't know if he can, because Higgins would have testified in the first trial when he was still at the FBI. But boy, someday, if he ever can, I'd love to hear him dissect Higgins' testimony the way he dissected the testimony of McCabe, Buchanan, and Dever on the stand. And that's in one of our episodes. You can go back on, to listen to it, because he is amazing. I don't know whether our 16-year-old Skyhopper, you are there, Skyhopper T16 Media, you have labeled Michael Easter, let's see, what is it? A good egg, right? Good egg in Spanish. And I think that's a great. What do we decide to call him? Papa Egg? Not Crash Daddy, Daddy Egg? It was, what did we eventually decide, Skyhopper? I know we Egg Daddy. That's what we decided to call him. Egg Daddy. Yeah, Egg Daddy. That was it. Egg Daddy. So I'd love to hear from Egg Daddy again. Skyhopper T16 Media, thank you very much for that. It was great hearing from him. I don't know about you, but even I, as a trial attorney, I learn things when I listen to different people. Fed Daddy, that's another one. But we called Michael Easter when we were announcing him the first time. Easter Monday, and then the second time we called it Easter Eggs Monday. Maybe it was the second and third time, because he was appearing on Monday, and certainly the last one where he was giving us little Easter eggs as to what was happening in those testimonies, right? And that was going on. So, and by the way, this is a common compass. Tammy Steyer, and I just note it because it's true. Turtleboy is being accused of intimidation by knock, 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 right? And I want to interview. What do you have to say about this? And you throw a microphone under their face. Well, Huevos Daddy. Oh, Huevos Daddy. Daddy Huevos. Daddy Egg. Police Policy Daddy. Oh, but everyone's coming forward now. But there's one network that one of the now anchors made their mark on the show by going and sandbagging is not the right word. Ambushing, I guess. Ambushing people they want to say, in their driveway, at the grocery store and all. And that's been a classic media way of getting interviews, right? By the way, Linda M, remember to hit the like button. Yes, please, everybody, please hit the, I should do this at the beginning of the show. I was watching Melanie Little today, who was really great to watch. She was doing a bit on Brian Walsh. I hit the like button. Hit the subscribe, the share, the like, and the notify, because that gets us into the algorithm, pushes us out, and then more of you can hopefully find us. Not that you haven't already. We've grown. May 6th, we were at 10,000 subs, and 2 months later, we're already at 22,000 subs. So you're getting the word out. Hopefully, it's our coverage and our commitment to the coverage. A lot of time spending on this and getting to know the people and also getting some of these interviews that other people are not doing, is to give you the inside information, the inside scoop, and all, right? And about what is going on. Yes, we try to stand up for our guests to come on our show. That's right. There's almost 2,000 people here right now. If you all hit the subscribe, like, share, and notify, we just get that up. We have about 1 million views on the channel already. If all of you had hit that subscribe, like, share, notify, we'd be like, we'd even be up there in Emily territory. But she's been doing this for a long time. She works her butt off bringing you great content also. So we're not trying to compete, and no one's really competing with everybody. Everybody is competing with the truth. We want to get you the truth out there, and we bring it to you from all different viewpoints. And the more you watch, the more hopefully you stay and understand why YouTube has now become the biggest place to get your news, right? It now is inched up by just like 0.1% above regular mainstream media. Detective Daddy, everyone's so great in this chat. Okay, but I kind of like, I like Layla's Daddy, I just thought that was pretty cool. Okay, free Daddy, Detective Daddy. Yeah, maybe we should go after him for an interview, as I'm thinking to myself. I'll have to talk to Michael about this. I saw somebody mentioned Paula, the juror. We did kind of try to reach out to her through the internet to try to get Paul the juror. I actually even reached out in Portuguese because when I was in high school, my Brazilian sister, as we like to call each other, Cece Leite, whose parents were lawyers, brother in financials. She's still one of my best and dearest family members, not by blood, but by everything else. And so I really wanted to, quite frankly, get Paul on maybe with Cece, who is in Brazil, and see what other questions that sometimes we may not ask here. But yeah, Paula really is badass. She goes after the trolls. Good for her. That's exactly what you need, because you want to talk about intimidation. That's what people try to do. They try to intimidate you to get you from talking. That's the real intimidation. And no one's going after people going after the jurors, right? Right? Yeah, I thought it was too that she was a lawyer in Brazil, right? So she understood, and she was just terrific. I mean, I thought they all were. The foreperson, fabulous. He got it. Remember, I kept saying to all of you what you need, what we were told in jury selection by my jury consultant, Richard Gabriel, when we pick jurors, is we're always looking for, as defense attorneys, that one juror who will stand up, raise their hand in the middle of everyone, getting involved in like details that don't matter, the deets that really don't mean anything, and say, hey, look, our job is not to figure out what happened. Our job is to determine whether or not the government has proven its case beyond a reasonable doubt. That's our job. And he got it. Okay, right from the beginning. And apparently he had like a photographic memory, not just photographic, but anything he heard, he could regurgitate's not the right word, but repeat all over, to all the jurors and all. Shannon in Arizona, member for 2 months. Thank you, Shannon. You're beautiful as always. Love your show. Thank you very much. We really appreciate you. The first juror, we've heard from 4 jurors. And apparently Alan, either Turtleboy or Alan, I wasn't sure, I can't remember if it was Turtleboy or Alan. You guys will remember on his interview, said they also heard from the alternates, right? And all the alternates were not guilty also on both trials. On both trials. All right, I think it's trial time. Okay.
The Long serial killer case to show that she was strangled. Big deal. It's a really big deal. She's an attorney. She's got a channel too. And that's amazing. I'm so happy. That's very nice. Thank you.
I think that's picking up sounds in the courtroom.
It's Donna.
Oh, do we have a Spanish interpreter?
Hi, Donna. I'll come on your show.
We do have a Spanish interpreter?
I know WBZ, Aidan said...
he's coming out any second.
We only have one still, one still. I'm going to let them know only one still, one still.
You can have more than one still.
I'm going to let them know only one still.
He's allowed to film.
Ooh, ouch.
It's Margaret, the court clerk.
Hurting my ears too, guys.
Good. I'm just trying to find two people. Oh, we do have a Spanish interpreter. Are the parties ready on the 58A of Zepeda?
Aidan's wearing a lilac tie, by the way, pink tie, blue suit, blue shirt.
How are you? Great.
Who also fluent in Spanish, but we did order a Spanish interpreter.
And Madam Interpreter is present. Number 15 on today's list, 58A of Albert Zepeda Sepulveda. I apologize for that pronunciation.
WBZ has the pool camera.
What number is this? 15?
Number 15.
Okay. Hi, Mr. McCrae. Good afternoon, Your Honor.
The parties could, Madam Interpreter, have you been sworn today? Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Oh!
Thank you. If the parties could please identify themselves for the record.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Keith McCrae for the Commonwealth.
Afternoon, Your Honor. Francis Doucette for Mr. Zapata and with Bianca Yeager.
Can I see the papers?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Bianca Yeager, 303 from BU.
Nice to Zapata.
As he said, WBZ is not live. Maybe they're recording it.
No, he's on probation. I don't think.
She was just here.
Yeah.
We'll get her.
But they didn't turn their camera on.
See, remember, his case is on the docket with other cases. It doesn't get a separate day, so to speak.
Buenas tardes, yo voy a ser su intérprete.
We could ask, does the court need a copy?
Okay, all parties are present.
Okay.
Before we begin, Your Honor, does the court have a copy of the police report?
Yeah, I got it. I've just read it.
Oh, all right, very good, Your Honor.
Mr. McCrae, tell me about the case. Got 90 grams of coke and supposedly a warrant from California.
Yes, Your Honor. And in addition to that, the Quincy Drug Control Unit was setting up surveillance. They noticed that this particular meeting happened in the parking lot of Father Bill's, which is a shelter in Quincy. And once they were, one thing that the Quincy DCU does.
You're hearing actually another case, which is kind of interesting.
One group follows the Port of Fire, when the party separates. One group follows the Port of Fire. They did get confirmation from the buyer as to what he bought and how much he paid. And after that, the defendant was stopped. There was a canine alert to his crotch area. However, there was no drugs recovered from his person. However, there was drugs found underneath the underneath the passenger seat of the car, and also there was discovery in the search of the vehicle. There was a sock, and that's what inside the sock was the remainder of the drugs.
Tell me about the California warrant. Is that him?
At this point, I don't know, Your Honor. The police report indicates that a agent from Homeland Security reached out to the Quincy Police saying that there was a warrant for trafficking out of California. I even checked with the drug control unit.
Is it just me, or did we lose sound? I think we have lost sound. Okay, let's see what else we have going on here, because I think we have definitely lost sound, and now we don't even have that little phone icon. It's almost like we're on our own. It's just interesting. Let's see if Aidan, let's tweet anything from the courtroom. Okay.
No prior criminal history record in Massachusetts or any other state.
Where does he live? Or who does he live with?
Mr. Zapata had been staying previously in Lynn, I believe.
Okay.
My apologies, Your Honor, in Mattapan. However, at 3 Orlando Street in Mattapan, and he has several family members in the area as well that he mentioned he'd be able to stay with if Your Honor were to release him today. As I was saying, Mr. Zapata has 0 criminal history record in Massachusetts, any other state. We ran his III record, which came out completely blank. So as Attorney Doucette was mentioning,
this is not a New Jersey accent.
California seems to be entirely fiction. There is also no fugitive from justice complaint. None of that was ever brought forward. And as prosecution mentioned, there was no successful contact from HSI or Special Agent Fernandez following attempts to follow up. During the alleged incident, Mr. Zapata exhibited no violent nor dangerous behavior when he was apprehended. He cooperated with law enforcement, as is indicated in the police report, where it says he was arrested without incident. The only words that Mr. Zapata uttered was no English to indicate his limited knowledge of the language. Mr. Zapata had no weapons on him when he was apprehended. He made no attempt to flee. There was no threat of violence. Mr. Zapata also has 0 history of mental illness or drug dependency, and there was no hint of any kind that he was under the influence of any substance on the day when he was arrested.
How much bail can he make?
I've spoken with Mr. Zapata. He says somewhere around $10,000 or so, if possible.
$20,000 cash bail.
Mr. Zapata
Surrender
also...
his passport within 24 hours of release.
We have a next date of July 17th for probable cause. All right. Quincy Court, Your Honor.
Sounds good. Thank you. Nice
Thank
to
you,
see
Your Honor.
So, sir, after hearing
They just hold bail would be given.
the sum of $20,000 cash with the following conditions. Surrender your passport within 24 hours of your release. Consent to that condition, sir?
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're hereby notified if you charged with a crime during the period of your release, your bail in this matter may be revoked in accordance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 276, Section 58. Thank you, sir.
I love this, actually. You're really seeing what criminal courts really mostly do.
Mr. McCray, always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Take care.
Good to be back.
Are we ready
Good to be back.
on the Kearney matters? Okay.
Here we go on the Kearney matter, right?
This one.
We're going to do Mr. Kearney. So next before the court, number 6, 7, and 17. Number 6 and 7 are on for status. Number 17, which is 25 CR 88, is on for arraignment. Please come forward and identify yourselves for the record.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Robert Cosgrove for the Commonwealth.
Good afternoon.
Hello, Your Honor. Timothy Bradel on behalf of Aidan Kearney. To my left.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Mr. Kearney.
And Mark Federer for Mr. Kearney.
Hi, Mr. Bedrow. Good afternoon. Okay, let's arraign him on the new case.
Mr. Kearney, on May 13th of 2025, the grand jury sitting in the County of Norfolk returned indictment number 2582 CR 00088, charging you as follows. Offense 1, charging intimidation of a witness, and offense 2, charging intimidation of a witness. Do you wish to waive the formal reading of these indictments?
Yes.
How do you wish to plead to each of these indictments?
Not guilty.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Is there a question of bail?
There's no question of bail, but I would ask the court to impose the same conditions that were imposed in the Stoughton District Court. And Mr. Bradel, correct me if my memory is wrong. I believe it was no contact with the alleged victim and stay 100 yards away from his place of work and residence.
And what are the allegations on these, on this one?
Intimidation of a witness, Your Honor.
Yeah, but what's the nature of it?
This was the appearance outside.
Oh, outside the waving in the pizza shop. Yeah, I remember.
The witness window intimidation.
Section 87.
Yeah, that's fine. All right, I'll impose that, Margaret.
Thank you.
Would you like me to do that now or wait?
Why don't you do that now? Just do them one at a
Right,
time.
the court recognizes you personally without surety with the following conditions. You are to have no contact, direct or indirect, with the victim in this case. You are to stay away, have no contact, stay away 100 yards from the residence and the place of work of the complainant. Do you assent to those conditions, sir?
Yes.
And you're hereby notified if you're charged with a crime during the period of your release, the bail in this matter may be revoked in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 276, Section 58. Thank you.
All right, what else are we gonna do?
Judge, if I may jump in right there, just for the record, we filed 2 arraignment-related motions, Your Honor.
Okay.
Obviously, we can push those to another day with 2 small exceptions of just in order to preserve notes of investigators and to preserve video, if I may, Your Honor. I don't believe there's an objection.
Okay. Yeah, those are both ordered. So we saw the Commonwealth's ordered to preserve notes of investigators and to preserve video. What else can I do for you?
That's a ridiculous charge.
For me, or-
Why don't I start with you, Mr. Cosgrove? Go right ahead.
All right. So Your Honor answered a discovery order the last time we were here. I've made substantial progress on it. I can't say I fully complied with it, but I have about, let's see, somewhere in the neighborhood of 5,000 or 6,000 pages of discovery to provide Mr. Bradel today. And I had planned, Your Honor, to file that with a motion for a protective order, which I had served on Mr. Bradel a couple of days from the one I gave you.
Thank you.
And we have been going along with these, essentially tracking protective orders in the Karen Reed case, and in fact, much of the material is duplicates of the discovery turned over in the Karen Reed case, and I've pretty much followed their form protective order. These have all been allowed with the agreement of the defendant and without prejudice.
Okay.
I understand that Mr. Bradel wishes to bring that practice to an end as of today. So I'm in a somewhat different position.
All right, let me hear from Mr. Bradel. Mr. Bradel.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Give me your argument.
I appreciate Your Honor. Judge, the Karen Reed case is over with. It's moot. It's gone. Okay. And my filing, Judge, entitled Aidan Kearney's motion to release case documents from impoundment is what we're talking about here, Your Honor. So I asked the court last time, and we had so much business on the docket last time, I don't think we circled back on it. But I was asking to just release everything from impoundment, Your Honor. The fact that things are embarrassing or scandalous or cause negative light to be cast upon public officials, Your Honor, is not a reason to impound documents. It's actually a reason to release documents. And that's really all the Commonwealth has left on the existing stuff, is that, you know, gee, this might make investigators look bad. This might make special prosecutors, present company accepted, look bad. This might, you know, cause election shifts, you know, and that's not a reason to impound things, Your Honor. And initially, we have sort of taken the candy from, you know, from the Commonwealth, and when they say, just, we'll give you the stuff, but just agree to this protective order. So we want the stuff, but at some point we have to get off of that train, Your Honor. You know, this is a case of immense public interest. This is a case of, you know, First Amendment issues, and I know we may disagree on that, but you know, that's what our adversary system is for, and that's okay. And I think every case that eventually gets to the SJC or the Supreme Court starts with a trial judge maybe not agreeing with you, so that's okay. And, you know, that's what we have here. But in any event, Your Honor, I think we can agree that this case brings to the fore really important issues about what is witness intimidation, what is journalism, where does the First Amendment fit in? And, you know, these text messages about, you know, and I'm trying to not speak of them in open court, but we all know what they say, and we all know that there's a public interest in shining some sunlight on these things. So we're not asking to, you know, publish someone's address or someone's phone number. We're asking for the content of these communications that these folks have issued between and among each other. And the content of them per se has no persuasive power to make you want to impound them.
Let me ask Mr. Cosgrove, what interest at the moment does impoundment serve?
Your Honor, I've just been handed 20 minutes ago a fairly extensive motion suggesting that I have all kinds of various burdens to justify impoundment and citing a lot of case law. I would like an opportunity to file a written response.
I'd give you that. Was a week enough?
I'd like a little more than that.
About 2 weeks.
All right.
There you go. I'll give you 2 weeks. I'll take it under advisement. And if you want to file anything else, Mr. Bradle, Mr. Betterow, you absolutely have every opportunity.
Thank you very much,
Okay.
Your Honor. And
Now, Your Honor, with respect to the items that I was going to turn over today.
So I'll allow the motion. Mr. Bradle, I'm up here.
Sorry, Your Honor.
It's all right.
I thought I had a minute.
That's fine. You got to talk to your client. You got to talk to Mr. Betterow. My point is this. If you want the stuff today, I'll allow it without prejudice.
Sure.
And then I'll see what you have to say and what Mr. Cosgrove.
We have to take the candy.
That's fine.
All right. Please note our objection, but thank you.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So I will allow Mr. Cosgrove's motion without prejudice, and I'll take any submissions that you have, and I'll give you a final answer probably in about 3 weeks.
Thank you very much.
Does that make sense? Okay.
And then, Judge, just to shift gears a little bit, there's some outstanding discovery that we've been talking about.
Yeah.
And I want to start off. I know that the court's time can be much better spent in discovery disputes. So we talked about the idea that we would go to the DA's office, and to the extent there's items that the government says they've given us that we can't open up or figure out.
Yeah.
You know, I think we're going to agree to go in person with our people and figure it out. So
sure. That's
the first thing I want to say. But then, in addition, Your Honor, there's this inventory that I filed. It's entitled Inventory of Outstanding Items in Connection with our third motion to compel.
Okay.
There's about 10 things, Your Honor, and I think, unfortunately, that the government ought to go through and answer to us today about what the status of these things is. and we've been kind of going back and forth about these things for a long time. I looked back, Your Honor, and my first discovery request was February of 24.
Oh.
And second and third, were the month following. And in fairness, counsel for the Commonwealth was not the prosecutor of record at the time, but the rules are the rules, and we need this stuff, and it's gone on way too long. So these are the 10 things that I think are very important, maybe 9.
Mr. Cosgrove, might you want to take that 2 weeks and respond to all of those?
Could you give me an extra week, Your Honor?
An extra week.
Thank you.
All right. But it is, Mr. Bradle makes a very good point.
Oh, what a time to lose a connection. Mr. Bradle makes a very good point, says the judge, and we lost the connection. Let's see if we can get it back out. Okay, there's some, we lost some connections, but basically I can tell you what happened. Here we go, hold on.
If you turn over 5,000 pages today, it's a lot of discovery.
We appreciate it, Your Honor.
Okay, great.
Thank you. And Attorney Bettero has a number of items as well, Judge.
Mr. Bettero.
Thank you, Judge. Just going back briefly to some of the issues about impoundment.
Yeah.
There are some items that are currently under impoundment, which we believe ought to be released from impoundment, specifically messages from Michael Proctor and a civilian witness. Those messages were cited in our motion to dismiss. As the court is no doubt aware, Michael Proctor is terminated from the state police. He has been a matter of public interest with his involvement in both the Karen Reed case, which led to Mr. Kearney's interest and ultimately, on some level, his indictment in this case. But also, those messages were impounded ostensibly for privacy interests, security interests, those sorts of things. Recently, Michael Proctor has been on a press tour on ABC News and NBC News, vigorously defending his investigative conduct. The messages that are at issue here, which are impounded, and the public is entitled to see that. There is certainly a presumption of public access to those files. Michael Proctor has surrendered any privacy interest he has by addressing those issues, as has, the other civilian that we're talking about, who also recently appeared on national news with other members of her family defending her and her family's conduct in this case. So those messages should be publicly available. If there's going to be information that's in the public realm, there's no reason why information that the prosecution wanted concealed from public view should be concealed any further. If the court likes, we can approach and show you the messages. I would suggest they are relatively straightforward, and there's no reason for those to be impounded at this time.
Okay. Anything you want to say to that, Mr. Cosgrove? I'm not going to give you another week.
Well, I would suggest it would make sense to take this up when we take up the other matters.
I think that makes sense too.
Yeah, I won't ask for another week. I won't ask for another day.
Why don't I do this? Why don't you all come up to the sidebar? Let me take a look at what you read.
Hey, sidebar. The judge wants to take a look. So that was the court. I actually think so far this is going pretty well for Dr. Turtleboy. By the way, an important point that Brett will make, and we're going to probably rerun this whole thing tonight. We do our 6 o'clock show. He said, every case that gets to the Supreme Court starts with a lower court like this, implying making the wrong ruling. That's on the motion to release to unimpound documents. The court has given, obviously, Mr. Cosgrove 2 weeks to answer. First, he was going to give them a week. Cosgrove pleaded for more, and he said he would have a decision in 3 weeks. But mark my words, that is an important statement by Tim Bradle on behalf of his client, Aidan Kearney. That this is, when Alan Jackson talks about Karen Reed, we ain't got no quit. They ain't got no quit here, okay? This was This is where we're heading, Your Honor. This involves questions of journalism. It involves questions of what constitutes intimidation, and it involves questions of the First Amendment. All right. And therefore, 3 weeks from now, we will have the judge's decision whether they're unimpound, which I think he has to, with the exception of maybe social security numbers, some telephone numbers, or whatever. But that was a huge statement by Bradel after he said, okay, we have to take the candy because Cosgrove pleaded for more time. There's also discovery that apparently that's been requested since February 2024 that Bradel says they need an answer to. Cosgrove said he had 5,000 or 6,000 pages today, but it's long enough. And there's at least 10 items. Actually, he then said 9 items that he felt that we need to know what the status is now. What is the status on what you have done to get these items? What is that status? And so we're not just asking for the discovery. Before you give them more time, Your Honor, we should have a hearing on what that status is, why it's taking so long. Let's go back and listen.
Mr. Betterow, the floor is yours. What else?
Thank you. Judge, one outstanding issue relates to the second of the 3 indictments that relates to Lindsay Gaetani. We moved and were granted a hearing to disqualify Mr. Mello from prosecuting that case because he is an essential witness in that matter. That issue was decided in September of 2024. A hearing was ordered in January of 2025. For reasons which the court is familiar with, that hearing has been put off. Nevertheless, we're looking to move this forward, and the issue is not resolved, and we're led to believe that Mr. Mello will not voluntarily withdraw. For whatever reason, we need to do this hearing. We believe that he's going to be a defense witness in this case. We're getting discovery between him and another civilian witness today, which I think is going to further that application and very likely make him even more a prosecution witness. And we just can't kick this can down the road for close to a year. So we would like to schedule a date for Mr. Mello to either appear, be examined under oath, explain the consequences, which the court, again, is probably familiar with. He was contacted by the complainant during the alleged crime repeatedly, 4 or 5 times over the course of that day. Instead of the police being called, he was an ear witness to these allegations. Respectfully, he needs to come in here, answer these questions so the court can issue a decision as to whether he's going to be allowed to continue or whether we can go through the process of subpoenaing him and any other items that might be of assistance to us with calling him as a witness.
Mr. Cosgrove.
Can I inquire if Mr. Mello is online?
I do not see him. Attorney Mello, last time he did use his name, there is no one with his name on there this time.
Can I approach?
Of course. Come on up.
Well, we're getting full on. This is the first time we've really heard Mark Betterow go full on in this, and this involves this Lindsay Gaetani case. You know, it's another ridiculous charge that Turtleboy supposedly was within 100 yards of her. And now apparently the person assigned as the civilian prosecutor won't withdraw, even though that person is now a witness to the case. So this is other stuff that's going on. By the way, we didn't hear an answer, at least I didn't hear an answer about whether or not the impounded Proctor texts were going to be unimpounded today, or whether or not the judge is going to give Cosgrove extra time to answer that. To say, go to whoever his superiors are who hired him as special prosecutor, right? A special prosecutor really not supposed to have any superiors. Cosgrove is a special prosecutor, all right? He should be making these decisions all himself. He's a former judge and all. All right, so I didn't hear an answer to that. Did you all hear an answer to that? But obviously, let me put it this way. They can kick this can down the road a little bit longer, maybe to the end of July, but this can is going to explode pretty soon, okay? The tomatoes are going to come out of the can, and they're going to be rolling down the street, and they're going to be smushed. And they're going to be smushed by Bradel and Betterow, as far as I can see. Because this was a great decision by the court here so far that we're hearing, or at least he hasn't made decisions, but he's kind of indicated what his rulings are, right? The court has kind of indicated what his rulings are. I don't think they deserve more time, but courts generally don't like to embarrass prior judges and say, hey, wait a second, why don't you have this now? And also, this is Doolin. Doolin was the first one that kind of understood the First Amendment and actually called. I mean, you remember, Aidan Kearney has now been labeled a journalist in a court hearing. So when Bradel and Betterow start talking about issues of journalism and First Amendment rights.
Betterow, you said you had one more thing.
One more thing.
Yes, just as it relates to discovery, we have made a series of discovery demands from the prosecution ranging from October of 2024. As of this date, not including whatever was filed today, we have made 4 very thorough, detailed discovery demands sourced regarding contacts between a civilian named Catherine Peter and the state police and the district attorney's office regarding her very unique relationship in all matters involving Mr. Kearney. Those demands, which again are in the files, Mr. Cosgrove has them outlined in detail, her frequent contacts with the state police, with people that are prosecutors, statements that she has made under oath in court proceedings stating that she helps authorities get Mr. Kearney, voice recordings that she has left Mr. Kearney indicating that she provides information to them. So we have asked for any discovery related to Ms. Peter going on about a year. Now, today, for the first time, we are admittedly getting something that relates to her communications with Mr. Mello. I'll only note that all materials that relate to Ms. Peter and the prosecution were ordered by the court in early May to have been provided within 20 days. That didn't happen. We got stuff today. That's fine. But the real issue here is that in light of the change in Rule 14 from last March, the game is very different than it might have been before. The prosecution is obligated to do, and what I don't believe they've done in this case, which is go to every member of the prosecution team, which is everyone in the district attorney's office, any of the state police who are involved in these matters, which includes Michael Proctor at the time, Yuri Buchanan, Lieutenant Tully, Fanning, there's a whole list of them. The Karen Reed prosecutors who are also covered, who got a little bit involved, as the court is aware, in Mr. Kearney's case and may or may not have had a relationship with her too. She has made statements allegedly indicating some involvement in that case. The rule requires the prosecution, whether they credit the information or not, to contact each individual that is on the prosecution team and make an inquiry and find out whether there is any material and disclose it. We don't think that that has happened. We respectfully submit that is something that Mr. Cosgrove has to do. In particular, I would draw the court's attention to testimony that was given by a member of the state police in February of 2024, which led to a wiretapping charge against Mr. Kearney, in which Fanning of the state police stated under oath that they received a recording, a 30-second recording from Catherine Peter, that it was given to Lieutenant Tully and then given to Fanning, and we have no evidence of that. We don't have a copy of the recording. We were given the wrong recording in that regard. We have no police reports. We have no communications. We have nothing. If they don't exist, they don't exist, but they're obligated to look for it, make the inquiry, and report back and say whether any of this exists or not. And the last thing I'll note on that point, under the new rule, it doesn't matter whether the prosecutor credits any of this, thinks it's nonsense, thinks it might be real. They're obligated to do it, and we simply ask respectfully that the court instruct the prosecution to do that and disclose whatever evidence ought to be disclosed, or make a statement on the record that there is nothing to disclose. And if that's the case, then we'll all live and die with the consequences of that statement.
Okay, Mr. Cosgrove.
Cosgrove?
It's largely been done.
Is that part of the 5,000 pages that you're turning over?
It is. Among the things turned over is the email from Catherine Peter to Brian Tully providing that 30-second clip.
Gotcha. Okay, that's fine. So that seems to solve that. You said that you had some things you wanted to bring up. Go right ahead.
Yes. So this will be an opportunity, Your Honor, for myself and Mr. Betterow to do an absolute 180 on our positions on disclosure of impounded documents. Your Honor will recall that the last time we were here, attached to a discovery motion was an affidavit.
Oh, yeah.
And at that time, it was initially filed provisionally without hearing from the Commonwealth. Was impounded upon, I believe, not the affiant's representation, but I think Mr. Bradle's representation that the affiant was in fear that there would be some sort of retaliation by the Commonwealth. I think Your Honor will recall the fairly outrageous, if I can put it that way, representations that were made by the affiant. I believe now, as I moved at the time, that affidavit should either be stricken or that the impoundment order should be lifted. I don't believe an affiant should be allowed to accuse an assistant DA of jury tampering and a district attorney of having secret meetings with witnesses and all these other things, and then hide behind an impoundment order. Okay.
Let me hear from the other side. Mr. Betterow.
Yes, a couple things that I think ought to be corrected. The affiant is not alleging what happened. The affiant is alleging under oath that she was told by another individual who we were discussing earlier what happened. That's the first point. The second point is that document was attached as an exhibit to a discovery demand. Discovery demand number 4, alleging more reason to believe that there is an obligation for the prosecution to look into possible discovery that is in their possession, custody, or control. If that affidavit were to be stricken, that means literally nothing. They are still obligated to do whatever it is they had to do. And at the time that that motion was discovered until 20 minutes ago, absolutely nothing has been turned over regarding this person who brags about working for the authority. So I don't know the relevance of doing anything one way or the other with respect to the affidavit. Now, that person may very well have a privacy interest because the day after that affidavit was filed, her apartment was essentially covered in personal information about herself that could have only come from someone with access to law enforcement. And almost certainly that individual was subjected to charges of witness tampering, which I believe were actually under investigation and may still very well be. I can't go farther than that. I don't know. Somebody, whoever did this, wrote snitch on her door. So I would suggest in this situation, impoundment of her name is more than appropriate.
Okay.
I'd just make 2 points in response. One, I don't think it's entirely true that the affiant was simply relying on recounting hearsay. If she was, that would say something about the credibility of the affidavit as well. But I seem to recall, Your Honor, that at least one point the affiant represented that she was present when Ms. Peter, I believe it was having a phone conversation with Hank Brennan, and that she, the affiant, recognized Hank Brennan's voice because she was familiar with it. So I don't think it was simply a matter of hearsay. The second thing I'd say is that the identity of this person is all over the internet. and was all over the internet at the time it was before you the other day. I don't know what the interest is, given those circumstances, in concealing it in the court papers.
Okay. Judge, I'm sorry,
And I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Could I just add one thing?
Yeah, go
Obviously, they're
apparently these things that were affixed to her door in her apartment building, which is the same apartment building that Ms. Peters lives in. And I think the implication was made at the time. First of all, that event was publicized by Mr. Kearney on the internet with photographs of the door in question. And I guess I would just question, Your Honor, the source of those documents, let's put it that way.
Okay. Just very quickly, Your Honor, in terms of this individual's name being on the internet, there are two reasons for that. The first is because Ms. Peters identified her publicly and led to this kind of harassment. The other reason, and this was no question a mistake, but Mr. Cosgrove mentioned her name accidentally, and no question, no malintent, but her name was stated in open court, and as you can see, people watch in court, online, and whatnot. So the fact that her name had been put out accidentally through no fault, with no malintent, is not a reason, I think, to just open up the affidavit to her name.
Okay, thank you all. So we have a date for, what was that, August? What was the date, Margaret?
August 13th for
August
discovery
13th.
compliance.
And then we'll pick a date for the other issue. Am I correct, Mr. Cosgrove?
Yeah.
Towards the end of the month?
Now, if you want to pick it on.
Why don't we pick it on the 13th? I think that makes sense.
All right, I may have some, I'm sorry, I should be standing.
That's okay.
I may have some information about
That's fine.
the health status at that time.
All right. We'll see you all on August 13th.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you all.
One more, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I believe we have an agreement. Mr. Bryant has responded relative to the source code for accessing the search of the devices.
Yep.
And he's indicated it was the same source code previously provided Lieutenant Tully, and that he would supply it again if necessary. And I've indicated to him that that's appropriate, and I think he should supply it today.
So
and I
Mr.
don't think there's a disagreement with that.
All right. You don't disagree with that, do you?
Sure.
Yeah, all right, good. I'll see you August 13th.
Thank you.
All right, take care. Bye.
2 p.m.
2 p.m.
Thank you.
Well, I can't wait to get Michel Bryant out of that courtroom. Why do I think I know where Michel Bryant is going to be on August 13th at 2 p.m.? All right. And it sounds like that's going to be when, shall we say, if things aren't turned over, the proverbial popcorn will hit the fan and explode. All right. Because there is an awful lot to unpack here. Yeah, I don't know if we got nosy rosy proof of life the mellow. They called and asked for him, but I didn't hear whether he's now another former prosecutor is going to have to testify in these cases. But it's going to be interesting. Let's start with Kate Peters, who's I asked to remember her X handle. Because we had labeled the whole issue that we were talking about there as Sofagate, because whether or not she was bragging that she was able to get a new sofa as a result of suggesting that she was a confidential informant being paid by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. which is what apparently they have been asking for, the defense has been asking for, because of her constant barrage against Karen Reed and also Aidan Kearney. And apparently, supposedly, there's a 30-second tape which she bragged of actually wiretapping Aidan Kearney that she turned over to the Commonwealth. Supposedly it had been turned over in the past. Cosgrove now says it's in the new discovery. Now, Mark Betterow took over the arguments after Bradel finished, and he was very interesting in his arguments. Let me just go backwards, and we're going to start with Rule 14. Judge Beverly Cannoni's Rule 14 has come back to going to bite the Commonwealth with the proverbial tushy, okay? Because recall, she was head of the committee for the Supreme Judicial Court of Massachusetts to change Rule 14, which is a discovery rule. It's when you have to turn over discovery and what you have to turn over. And no longer it's just what may be in your possession if you're the prosecutor. You know, oh, I didn't have that. I'm sorry. It wasn't in my files. Oh, I'm so sorry. You as a prosecutor in Massachusetts have to go look at every single possible witness, every single possible law enforcement agency, and you have to see whether or not there have been there's discovery that could be answer to what the defense asked. And it's an affirmative duty. It's no longer you can sit back as it was when I was a prosecutor and just say, well, we didn't have it. You know, that's a different agency. That's a different, you know, and quite frankly, you heard some of that. The case that you all hate, though, Casey Anthony, where the prosecution had no duty to go find out what's in the FBI files, although we did. I mean, we were good defense attorneys and we did it. We actually took depositions and all. But now in Massachusetts, so Cosgrove said some of it's been turned over, but Betterow is saying, look, we've been asking for discovery for a long time now. It goes over a year. And in some parts, a little under a year, but certainly 2024, very detailed discovery requests, including 10 or 9 that are very important that we have not received. And we'll see whether or not in this 5,000 or 6,000 pages that Cosgrove turned over, obviously, are the answers to some of the questions. But one of them has to do with whether or not there was this confidential informant, whether she was getting paid by the prosecutors or the state. And let me tell you how that works, all right? There's not like a line item that says, you know, confidential informant payments in their budget, right? It's hidden somewhere else, all right? It can be hidden anywhere. It could be hidden in the prosecutor's file. It could be hidden in the state police file. And it doesn't say, this is the payments we make to the confidential informers, but they have to have a record of them somewhere. And you're supposed to know and turn the payments over if somebody is testifying or giving information that is against somebody or somebody else. And in this case, we're kind of muddling Karen Reed and Aidan Kearney because this Aidan Kearney's cases here got pushed now because a lot of Karen Reed answers may be allowed to become, because as Bradel first started by saying, the impoundment orders that were issued to protect both witnesses and police and certain information from becoming public no longer apply because Karen Reed is finished. It is a not guilty. Not only is it a not guilty in the case for murder, remember, there was a grand jury proceeding where the Commonwealth tried to indict her and Aidan Kearney, right? They tried to indict them for witness intimidation, and that failed. Now, some of you may ask, just as we started, why is Aidan being arraigned again on the violations for the D&E pizza when he was with Will DeGlara, who, by the way, the police never interviewed, never spoke to, for his witness intimidation? We've all called it window intimidation. Aidan's called it window intimidation. Because now this is up to before it was a charge and an arrest, then there's an indictment, and it goes up to the district court. The district court, so he has to be arraigned on the actual indictment. That was number 17. But then there was 2 other indictments, number 6 and 7, that there's already been a lot of discovery on. Okay, there's already been a lot of discovery requested. Not that discovery has been received. Now, some discovery was received, but it was impounded. Some motions were made, but the affidavits were impounded because of the Karen Reed trial. Now the defense wants to open. They want to open those up. They want to open for their motion to dismiss. They want to open that affidavit up because it has text in there that apparently everybody has a right to see. And remember, the public generally has a right to see all this stuff unless there's a state interest involved. And once there's been a not guilty, what could be the state interest? Well, the name of a confidential informer could still be a state interest. However, if the confidential informer is all over the internet, right, implying that they're giving information, then the state's interest in preserving the identity of that confidential informant really goes bye-bye, see you later, left you in the, I'm Usain Bolt taking over and left everybody in the rear of me. All right, so that's why that now the Bradel and Betterow are pushing. And so indeed, the question was asked to Cosgrove, what does impoundment serve at this point, Mr. Cosgrove? Can I have 2 weeks? Can I have, the judge said, I'll give you a week. I need 2 weeks. He's a special prosecutor. He should be able to answer that question because there is no more unless as Alan Jackson and Aidan Kearney and everyone has said, they don't trust Michael Morrissey, right? They don't trust what he's doing, all right? Maybe he's going to thinking about doing something else. Because Arashi would say, Your Honor, there is no impoundment should be released, but what we'd like to do is we'd like to have one final pass to see whether there's anything specific to go over, and I'd like to, and if we have a problem, we'll meet with the defense, and then we'll be back to Your Honor. Could you give us a week for that or 2 weeks for that? That should have been his answer. Instead, it was dab. So the judge gave him 2 weeks, and the judge says, have whatever you want, briefing to me, whatever you want to me at any time, during this period of time, and I will then, get back to you 3 weeks with an opinion. Blessed in Texas, remember for 3 months. Hi, Blessed in Texas, dear Linda. I hope you're going to review all of these details, Ray. KP as a confidential informant. I'm confused. I think we're going to do that later on tonight on our 6 o'clock show. What this was the defense asking really that, and the prosecution, the defense wanting they reverse position, wanting to keep the name of an informant private because they felt that Kate Peters may somehow be threatening to her in some way. And so it was a reversement of the other position because they didn't all have everything that they wanted from Miss Peters, whose X account, Twitter account, very well. We, as I said, we labeled it we labeled her Sofagate. All right, so but we'll go through that a little bit later on tonight when we go through the details with her, because I think right now there's so much important stuff that happened here, both in tone, both in what's going to happen. Okay, Jake Adams says, I'm confused. The prosecution knew they were coming to try and unimpound these texts. Why did they get another 2 weeks to make a case against it? Because the judges sitting on the bench don't like to embarrass another judge, a former judge, and Mr. Cosgrove. They just didn't want to embarrass him in court, so they gave him another 2 weeks. Thank you, Linda Kenny Bung's rant, PM, 199 donation. Thank you very much. Yes, we've had a few of them, haven't we, on the show? But so I think there was more important here. Here was, they know it, but now this is going to end. It's going to come to a head either on August 13th. That was the date, right? August 13th. How soon we forget. At 2 p.m. All right. The defense is going to have everything they want, or they're going to have a ruling denying some of the things they want. I think they're going to get mostly everything they've asked for, because the shall we say how do I want to put this so that it's not a colloquialism dealing with some type of Shakespearean play, all right? The gauntlet has been laid down. Let's just say that, all right? Let's do that. Let's do the old one, because you all know the gauntlet has been laid down by Tim Bradle. This, you can no longer hide behind that this is going to embarrass officials. You can no longer hide behind that the prosecution could look bad. You can no longer hide behind that this may cause an election shift. You can no longer look behind any of these issues. The public has a right to know. And quite frankly, Your Honor, it's implied here, if you make the wrong decision, every case that goes to the Supreme Court on a First Amendment issue starts here in a wrong decision by a trial court. And actually, he says starts by a decision of a lower court. Tim Bradle wouldn't say the wrong decision, but that's what's implied. And what's implied is it ain't going to stop here, Your Honor. We're going up. We're going up on the First Amendment. We're going up on what is journalism, and we're going up on what is intimidation, and quite frankly, whether that statute's constitutional. That was also, he didn't say that. I'm saying that. To a higher court, and if it has to be a higher court, the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court, or it's going to the U.S. Supreme Court, we're going there. All right. So that gauntlet has been laid. That's no secret here. So I think with regard to a lot of this, and since there was 5,000 or 6,000 pages that were being turned over, and the defense did not get a chance to see whether they actually responded to the requests that have been outstanding, some since February 2024. The court, the trial court. By the way, Dylan's, he's pretty good. He's been pretty good with Aidan Kearney. Said, okay, I'll give you 2 more weeks. And by the way, 3 weeks, I'm going to have a decision. Anything else you want to give me, you let me know. In the meantime, defense, you look through everything and you tell me if something is outstanding. And then we get a betterer who comes in and says, well, you should decide the issue of the Proctor issue right now. You should decide that. There can be no reason that anything related to Proctor's texts and communication should, especially when there's been a mediator by a member of her family, by both Proctor and a member of the family who wants to protect her family. Well, you can all figure out who that is, can't you? Didn't say him, didn't say them or they, didn't say it. It said her. So we know it's a her, okay? The judge took him to sidebar. He didn't make a ruling. I think he's just going to make a ruling all at once. The judge wants to make a comprehensive ruling. Betterer also then went back and said, hey, what about this Ms. Mello with this Lindsay Gaetano on this one indictment, one of the 2 or 3 indictments that we're talking about here? Hey, we're supposed to have he's supposed to be removed. We won that motion. He's not going to be removed. He won't get withdrawal. And what are you going to do about it, courts? Now up to sidebar they go again, and we have no answer. But we should be hearing an answer soon on that. I think what Dylan wanted to do was just make sure he had everything, and then he's going to issue, I think, a comprehensive opinion here. And then Mark Betterow again, and then we're going to talk about Kate Peter and whether she's a confidential informant and all. And by the way, you have to give us Rule 14 discovery. All right. Again, the gauntlet is thrown down. And Cosgrove says, well, now I want to rely on impoundment. I want to have things protected. So the judge basically, in my opinion, being a lawyer, now knows these are the issues that now they're going to come to a head. Okay. This was like a status conference, but this was like not just really a status conference. This was like shots have been fired status conference. All right. And this is the judge saying, okay, August 13th, this is all going to end. You're going to have my decisions, and we're going to go from there. Now, what could happen here is the state may decide not to, although they've given 5,000 or 6,000 pages. If there's these 9 or 10 items, we don't know which they are. First it was 10, then I think Betterow said it's really 9. They may decide to punt. I mean, sometimes the prosecutors don't want to turn over discovery, and they can decide to punt. I mean, if they have to turn over monetary payments of people they've deemed confidential informants, they don't really like to do that, all right? That's usually a really big fight, and sometimes will lead to a case being withdrawn. But, it seems here that they're going to let Mr. Cosgrove, the special prosecutor, who should be answering to no one, that's why he's special, right? He's not, he's not Morris. He shouldn't be answering to anybody on the city council. He shouldn't be answering to any elected officials who may feel this could be election shift. He shouldn't be answering to anyone. He should be figuring all of this out for himself, which now he's on notice he has to do. Okay. Now, remember, he's been a prosecutor. He's been a former judge, retired judge. I mean, he's very big in the political communities. That's why he was assigned to be special prosecutor. Okay. All right. So there we go. Now, I can't wait to hear, because we could only listen. Although I have to tell you, I love listening to that first case dealing with the drugs and the bail, because that's really what courts deal with, right? Day in and day out, day in and day out, day in and day out. All right. So you kind of heard a little bit of that. And I think the court had another 5 or 6 cases on its docket, but they wanted to get, before they dealt with the other 5 or 6 cases, I guess it decided, hey, this is going to be a long time. Sometimes courts will leave the high profile case to last, and you sit there and you wait, and you sit there and you wait. Everybody else is out of the courtroom. I think Dylan got a chance that this was clearly that, he had to hear this now. All right. There was a lot of people in there. And then I'm sure that there's been a mass exodus from that courtroom, except for the litigants and their attorneys who were waiting. I can't wait to hear. I mean, can you imagine being a litigant in this case and being sitting there, right? And listening to this and saying, oh, I got to hear the day that Aidan Kearney, Dr. Turtleboy, was in court. Let's see if Aidan has posted anything, if he's out of court posting anything on his Twitter account. I told you he did show his fight sign that he went in. Let's see. I'm seeing a lot of August 13th coming up here. Who would have thunk that this case would have taken, control? We also have some other cases we should report on tonight. So, but I think obviously this case is just huge. Let's see, Aidan. I'm trying to get to Aidan. Okay, Aidan Kearney. Let's see. You probably are all getting there quicker than I am, because I have so many screens open. And I also want to review that Aidan has not posted anything since court time 1 hour ago, in a pink lilac type striped shirt. I'm sorry, striped tie, blue shirt, blue suit. Okay, let's see. Anything else that he's posted? When somebody else said somebody else was rehomed, did I see that somebody else was rehomed? Nothing from Aidan yet. Yeah. Did any get renamed? This actually really was an interesting hearing. I'll tell you why. Mark Bettero's kind of been in the background. Tim Brado's been handling it. Today, Tim Brado handled the first half, then Mark Bettero took over the second half. And that's when Cosgrove went ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-do, I think, and all. Not that I dislike Looney Tunes, cartoons. I think they're funny. I still think they're funny. But to me, that's what it was like. To me, I could hear that. Even if he didn't do it, I could hear it, like, oh, now what do I say? The court asked me a question. The court asked me a specific question. And if the kind of question that you'd be asked if you were arguing this case before an appellate court, what intent does impoundment serve? That was the question to Mr. Cosgrove. What intent does impoundment, what interest, I'm sorry, not what intent, what interest does impoundment serve? Okay. And that means serve the government. What interest does impoundment serve? That's a pretty deep question. And that's the question, by the way, that would be answered by a Supreme Judicial Court or a Supreme Court. How can you have to have a government interest, a good one, to keep records from the public. In Florida, records are like given, talk about being given candy. They're given sometimes if you try a case in Florida, the public has the release of the information before U.S. defense attorney has even opened page 1, because they come to you pretty quickly, almost at the same time. Not quite, but almost at the same time. There was that direct question, and that's what the court's going to want to see. They're going to want to see that, and I think the court wants to write an opinion on this, maybe give an opinion from the bench. I just don't see this court punting on this in a way when he asks that specific question of Cosgrove. And I don't see the court punting on this when indeed Bradel made it very clear that, they ain't got no quit like Karen Reed. Whatever happens here, if it's against us, they're going up, because it's just the statute. It's what constitutes intimidation under the statute that's an issue. It's who is a journalist is an issue, and the First Amendment is an issue. Okay, so I think the court's going to have an opinion that he's going to write, in my opinion, whether it's detailed or not. But this usually district courts don't write opinions. But he did write a one-pager here, and he's in his one-pager. He did call Aidan Kearney a journalist in one of the motions that they have. So Michel Bryant is heading out of court. Let me see. I know that he wanted to see whether he could get an interview as he was leaving the courthouse with Dr. Turtleboy, which I'm sure everybody in the world is out there trying to get an interview with Aidan. I think that he's going to be on Defense Diaries later on, going through one of his hearings and all. Just very interesting. Oasis Cat says, tweeted about it, but doesn't say either way about the Chico. Okay. Well, who the heck knows what's happening? We all knew, by the way, going back to the Karen Reed case, that I think that the head of the state police took some heat. Maybe he didn't like his name mentioned in the one-on-one meeting. That seemed to infer, instead of telling the truth, do the right thing, that meant, protect for your fellow officers at all costs. But whatever it is, I talked about it when Buchanan was on the witness stand, that he was so horrible in the initial part of the cross-examination. But then when he came back and started reading the texts of Proctor, I called it a station house adjustment, as if somebody called him up from his upper-ups and said, knock it off. And that comes directly from the boss. Knock it off. I assume that I make the assumption that he was told to be obstreperous and also endeavor by the prosecution, whoever that is, and whether it was Hank Brennan or the prosecution team, because I have to say that the prosecution team has to be responsible, because the prosecution team knew certain things were not true, and the team of Lowley and McLaughlin did not stand up and correct them, which is their duty right in the middle of trial to do, just like the prosecutor did in the Alec Baldwin case. Quit. Said, I'm not working for this special prosecutor. This is wrong. I'm not prosecuting this case. Tom CPU has apparently got to lie with Aidan. That does not mean that our Michel Bryant didn't get a quick tape with Aidan. Michel Bryant likes to do a quick tape, not a live, and then run it for you, and then rerun it and rerun it and rerun it. And Aidan's been very nice to Michael when he always sees him. Anything for you, Mike, he calls him. Anything for you, Mike, which always cracks me up. And all, but I'm not worried about that. So, but we have to wait till he comes back. I'm sure there was still a scrum going on there outside that courthouse, despite the fact it wasn't thousands of people, at least hundreds. And certainly, Missy says Michael did get the interview with Bradel and Aidan. See, I told you, our Michel Bryant. You don't ever doubt him, okay? And he's been wanting to get an interview with Tim Bradel because he thinks the world of Tim Bradel. Mark Bradel gets a lot of the attention of the reporters, and rightly so. He's the national counsel brought in, but Michel Bryant has been saying constantly I have something on my screen. It's making me like crazy here. That Michel Bryant's been saying that he adores Bradel. He adores how he's handled this case. He adores how what he does for Aidan Kearney. He just adores him to death. So I know it's like he's been is there a fanboy stuff? Can you say fanboy? Is it fan if you're a fanboy? If Michel Bryant's been a fanboy for Tim Bradel? Well, he's been that, all right. He's been like constantly, I'm gonna get that interview with Brad. I'm getting that interview with Bradel. So when he comes, whether or not he gets to load it now, we do have our Starlink up there, and we're going to load it now. Whether he's going to load it and show it right now, or load it and show it at the 6 o'clock show, I am not sure. It depends on how long the interview is, how long it takes to upload, how long you want to stay with me. Yes, Bradel is a badass. Yes, he is. Yeah, he's done a great job. And I think you saw this great tag team here today of the B&Bs, Bradel and Betterow. You saw what a great tag team that Aidan has representing him. Aidan, by the way, has been asking for donations to contribute to his, because he has to pay his lawyers. And I can tell you, people like Bradel and Betterow do not come cheap, and rightly so. They've spent their whole lives earning their reputations, and especially in First Amendment and doing this kind of work. And don't you love Mark Betterow's letters? I mean, the one on the wiretap, right on. I think right on. I think that, quite frankly, that, in my opinion, that was a wiretap. You can't be taking, but people are saying they're walking across it without a notice that, you're what you're going to be hearing, you could be taped here. Everybody knows on a Ring camera, they've gotten like that notice over Ring and Ring cameras. Everyone kind of knows about that. But I still have questions about that. What if you're, for instance, let me think about something. You're in a car dealership, and maybe they have a Ring camera somewhere, and all. And you're in a private room talking with your significant other or person that maybe you want to buy the car with, and you're talking about whether this is a good deal. Should you order something lower? Should you offer less? What should you do? And that's being overheard, okay? And you don't have any notice that's being overheard. Isn't that a wiretap? Is that a classic wiretap? It's a classic violation of the law, whether it's overhearing it or whether you're listening to it through a Ring. Oh my goodness, there he is.
I didn't want to interrupt your story there about wiretapping.
Yeah, I'm talking about it. We are
story.
applauding you. You got the interview with Bradel. Tim Bradel. I've been telling them that you're fanboying. You've been fanboying over him.
He has agreed to come on. We don't know when yet, but he is going to come on. And that the interview I did on the steps, will re-rack and get that up there. A couple of comments from Turtleboy, from Aidan, of course, that I saw him as he was heading he's meeting with his attorneys here inside the Registry of Deeds. Just how it went, just his gut feeling about it. I think they're all very happy. Mark Betterow obviously contributing today, unlike most of the other hearings, and he had some very fine points to make. So we talked to him afterwards as well. It was so,
I'm putting on the air conditioning for you, Michael.
Please do, thank you. I think I'm schwitzing. I'm schwitzing here. Having done the scrum so many times, when it ends up being you and Jess Machado, it's fine. It's just a little different. And so she and I were really the only ones asking any sort of questions, and they were happy to answer. So I think in general, they think it went well. Nothing surprising. I always ask, and I asked this of Aidan, because you may have noticed he went up to the sidebars, which he has not done in the past.
We didn't see. We only had audio.
You only had this. You only had audio.
Yeah, so you have to tell us.
Oh, well, there's a camera.
What happened in court?
There was a camera.
Apparently it's being taped.
Yes, somebody's going to re-rack that. Well, I'm glad at least you had audio, and I hope it was better than what we could hear in the actual gallery. About 85, 90 people in the gallery, which was pretty darn full. One case was called before Aidan Kearney's case. This is how the sausage is made. For those who you may queue up for one particular case, but there's a court docket. There's a calendar, and this was a guy accused of taking. I think he had possession of 80 grams of cocaine and some allegations of a case out in California that was pending. His attorney steps up and makes the court aware that story about a case in California. We've scoured the record. There is no case pending in California. And this guy's in custody. He comes jangling in. So they got him $20,000 bail, and he's going to be released. But anyway, that's the way the real world works. And then the Aidan Kearney case is called. The attorneys queue up. Blah blah blah. And let me ask you this: from your listening, do you have any specific questions that maybe seeing would have helped?
Oh, you telling me that there was a time there that the judge said, "I'm up here," okay, and I
Yes,
gathered
he's
that.
this is Judge Doolin. He's a bit of a wise ass, not a bad way.
What happened there?
He tries to keep it loose. What happened was, this was when Mr. Bradel was giving his argument, and they'd come to the end of a particular topic. He wandered over, meaning moved right. There's Bradel standing. Sitting next to him is Aidan. Next to him is Mr. Betterow. So Bradel bends down to, with Aidan, and then he walks over to confab with Betterow, and that's when the judge, to get his attention, was like, "Hey, I'm up here. I'm up here." So it was all good natured. It wasn't a big deal, but that's mechanically what was happening behind the scenes there.
Okay, I do have a question, and I've talked about this. I felt that the gauntlet was laid down. That when Bradel said the court, by the way, the Commonwealth can't rely anymore on impoundment of the documents because you're going to embarrass officials because there's a special prosecutor or that there's election shifts. That every case that gets to the Supreme Court starts with the lower court ruling, meaning a lower court ruling that was wrong, and involves intimidation, journalism, and the First Amendment. What was it like in that courtroom? To me, that was the gauntlet laid down, Your Honor.
And it wasn't lost on the judge, I don't think. This is Judge Doolin again. He wears his emotions on his sleeve. And if he agrees with something, you can get a sense that he agrees with it. And he could see that. He could, this is... And one of the questions I asked on the courthouse step was who's the Commonwealth protecting now? Who's benefiting from all of this now with the Karen Read trial done? Mello, surprisingly, and you may not have picked this up from the hearing, Mello, the attorney that was on this as the DA, as the Commonwealth representative prior to Cosgrove, he's still an attorney of record in this case. And they're using that to continue to impound some of the documents that, in most people's opinions, should have been released a long time ago. Remember when the Karen Read trial ended, a lot of these protections became moot. A lot of the impoundment became moot, except to protect the fragile feelings and the embarrassment which will come of the officials who have been involved in this Aidan Kearney case. That's all going to come out. Now, is it going to be on the 13th when there's another hearing? Is it going to be in the next 3 weeks, like has been suggested the court would give Mr. Cosgrove? It's coming out. And it will be embarrassing. But that's what it's about now, is protecting these precious feelings from embarrassment. Screw them.
Michael Dots. Let's put Michael Dots is in the chat. Thank you, Michael Dots. All right. So with Michael Dots here, let me ask this question. All right. We had, to me, was another seminal point, and I wonder what happened. This is what happens when you're in the appellate court. The Judge Doolin said to Cosgrove, what interest does impoundment serve? And in my mind, I heard a yabba dabba dabba doo, yabba dabba dabba doo. What was that like?
Yeah, I mean, it's hollow. People and the crowd there, not surprisingly, are all pro Karen Read / pro Aidan Kearney. They're just like, and doing whatever they can to be demonstrative without getting yelled at, because the bailiffs will yell at people just to shut up. But they get it. They see that it's a joke. That they're trying to protect these folks, and the Commonwealth continues to dance around it. We're talking about discovery, some of which was provided today. We're not sure exactly what they got. Even the defense doesn't know what they got. Here's a pile of papers. It could be like the Ford case. Remember the Ford Pinto case? They gave 28 boxes. Buried deep in one of those boxes was the smoking gun memo about the gas tank. So we don't know what the hell's in these documents. But, the Commonwealth has no reason to be proud of themselves for finally complying with some discovery orders issued last year, and reinforced in January of this year. Well, that's already 6 months, folks. So it's a joke to those who are following it from the outside. It's embarrassing, I think, to the court, who has inherited this mess. And the Commonwealth continues to get favored status for whatever reason.
All right, so let me ask you the next question, because you were.
Oh, wait, let me drop this one in before I forget. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I see Lady Nimu66 has a question about the candy. Was that clear to you what the candy was all about? The candy reference? Okay, so Bradel made a reference a few times to candy, and he was doing it in the context of how they would dribble out bits and pieces of discovery. And he would say, yeah, we'll get some candy every now and then. And toward the end, when they were having another fight about what's to come, he did agree to accept the candy for today, which was that pile of documents that I just mentioned. So that's his way of having a little fun at the Commonwealth's expense, that they're jerking them around. And remember what they would do. Here's the trade-off they made, which is so annoying. They would say, the Commonwealth would say to the defense, here, look at, you can have this material, but we're going to impound it. So it's all yours. And of course, if you're in the defense perspective, you got to have it. You got to see it. And so caving in on the impoundment is just, it's really what you have to do to best protect your client. And then the impoundment battle comes up again later, as it is now. But that's the candy question is, they're giving us a little bit of candy here, but making us impound the documents so the public doesn't get to see them.
Okay, so then that leads me to what happened here. So you heard Mark Betterow get up and there's two sets of discussion. One was one's the gauntlet being fired by Bradel, okay, and then Betterow gets up and says, and besides, Your Honor, I know you told Mr. Cosgrove, Special Prosecutor Cosgrove, who should be answering to no one, all right, because he's the special prosecutor, but he needs time. Proctor has been on there should be no reason to protect his text. He's been on a media tour with somebody else, with her and her family, and those texts should be released. And then the judge said, sidebar. And so, we're all waiting.
Yeah, and I asked again on the courthouse steps behind me, I said, so what's the deal? What was the deal with the Michael Proctor texts? Because their position, the defense position is, this guy's, an embarrassed former trooper. What do you got to protect him for? What's the deal? That's what the sidebar was for. Specifically, the defense to show the court, here are the issues that we're fighting about. Here are the specific documents and texts. So, thinking maybe the judge would just say, okay, I see it. We're going to release those. But no, the Commonwealth continues to fight their release. I think they're going to come out. Maybe that will come out sooner rather than later because of the status of Mr. Proctor, not Trooper Proctor, Mr. Proctor.
But how about the her? The her gave us a clue.
Well, is it Jen McCabe? Is it, that's the best guess. There was no identification of this person in open court, but which I think is ironic because who doesn't know who the core players are? Who doesn't know who the big mouths are? Who doesn't know who's been texting back and forth and connecting from the McCabe family and the Albert family to law enforcement, to DAs, to the Commonwealth, anybody that will listen to them. We all know those people. So I don't know why they're protecting them.
Okay, so before I have your next question, Joey Kane, who we finally got to
Joey,
Joey gifted another Justice Serve TV membership there to us, and also not Sarah Lee. Thank you for donation. Good to hear. Aidan said he's going up on sidebars from now on when he was on Runkle.
Yep.
Thank you on Ian Runkle's show. Thanks to you both for your coverage and constant support of Dr. Turtleboy. And as I tell people, Michael, we're not competing with everybody. We are all have the same goal here, to bring different coverage, different viewpoints and all. People say, well, you're competing. We're not competing with anybody. We just want you all to pay attention to what we think is a travesty of justice going on here in Aidan's case and all. And that's why we're continuing on. So I have another question because we couldn't see. We could only hear.
Yeah, I'm surprised about that because I could see the big old fat camera in there. So keep an eye out for that release.
We'll see this. So you had the issue. What was it like when the issue of a masshole mafia, Kate Peters, came up? What went on there? People are confused at the deep here.
Yeah, and remember there were some pictures that Aidan posted of the neighbor of Kate Peters who allegedly outed her, and it was one of them said snitch, and I can't remember what some of the other information was. That's how down and dirty into the gutter it kind of gets sometimes with these folks, and that's credit it or blame it. It's because of social media. That's what begins it. That's what fosters it. That's what fans the flame, and eventually it sometimes puts an end to it. But again, there seems to be some protective effort that they're suggesting, as I'm sure you heard in the audio. Well, we can't say her name, not Kate Peters' name, not Kate Peters, Kate Peters' name. That name was mentioned plenty, but this other person who has been outed in social media, and for those who really care, it's out there. And the point was made that it is out there. Even Cosgrove mentioned it mistakenly in a prior hearing. So it's out there. It just keeps getting me back to this whole protective effort is kind of frightening.
Ridiculous. So are we going to be able to show the interview you did, or are we holding that to 6 o'clock?
Yeah, I mean, I'm holding it right here on my phone. I'm holding it in here. So yeah, as soon as I can upload it to the Starlinker, yeah, we'll just turn it around for tonight.
Yeah, I think we'll turn it down because I know Aidan's going to go on the air.
Yeah, he's going to go on it soon, and he'll blow us off out of the water. So
yeah, well, that's okay. That's all right. This is his show. We're here to be supporting a supportive cast, so to speak. You know, we're the Broadway play down there. You can't kind of read those lines and all. All right. What else stood out to you?
Okay,
I mean, actually, what stood out to me? What stood out to you?
Let me check some of my notes. Oh, first of all, we have to remember what the initial piece of business was, and it's almost ridiculous that it hasn't happened yet. The pizza incident, the pizza witness intimidation evening. The night I was here, we were having our show on the sidewalk right down the street from D&E. Will the Glare comes by. Hey, how you doing? Yeah, I'm going to go meet Aidan for some dinner. After that dinner, which was next door at McCarthy's, that's right next to D&E's, they come out of their dinner and have this puppet show or whatever the hell they did in front of the cameras. That is the factual basis for the 17th charge, witness intimidation. Today, for the first time, he was arraigned on that. So the official arraignment took place. He pled not guilty. I was going to ask him, and I had a little brain lapse. I wonder if he really was concerned. I'll ask him next time we talk, that his bail might have been revoked or somehow adjusted because of that new charge. Because every time that arraignment comes up, they can revisit that. Cosgrove did say, you may have heard this, that they had no issue with bail. Basically, they're continuing it. He's got the same issues, no contact with any of these people he would rather not have contact with anyway. Stay away orders in place, 100 yards. And of course, no getting any pizza there, D&E pizza. So that was the first thing that happened. And really, of substance, the most important thing that happened today.
Yeah, but not the most. It may have been the most important, but the most interesting things for happened with Brado and Betterow talking. And I think putting Cosgrove on the heels, and I think the judge basically saying, okay, even though I'm going to give you an extra couple of weeks, August 13th, this is all going to be ironed out. And isn't it amazing that Rule 14, that Judge Beverly Cannoni,
I'm glad you made that point.
Had an interesting, she's the one who calls them to be adopted. She's the head of the committee that says you have to go out and proactively interview these people. Mm-hmm. And then we're entitled to know what they said. Talk to us about it.
I got my big asterisk on that, so to speak. And it was clear that Betterow was dying to use that, to wield that hammer, because it's like saying, hey, be careful what you wish for. Here's Judge Cannoni's new Rule 14. And now there's, as you say, this affirmative duty, not just to, spitball around the office. You have to go out to anybody connected to the office, even if, let's say it's a Kelly Dever, right? Somebody that, at least in her mind, has no connection to the case, right? And now probably no connection to law enforcement, but that's a different story. And so you have to go to those people and say, here's what has been requested. Do you have any statements? Do you have any documents? Do you have anything that is responsive to these requests? That's new under Rule 14. It's a very strong affirmative duty on behalf of the prosecution to ferret out anything that's responsive. And you know what that means ultimately, Linda? That means if they don't, that could come back to haunt them, because if something surfaces, as things tend to do, then the defense can throw it in the prosecution's face and say, look at the direct violation of the new rules of Rule 14.
Yeah, how about the fact that they have to disclose any payments made wherever they hide their confidential informant monies, right? Whatever a line item or whatever group it's under, they're going to have to disclose any payments too. I'm sure I'm sure Brado.
Or get caught. That's like I couched their actions. They're going to have to disclose or get caught. Because it's not going to be, they're not going to skate, I don't think. Mello, again, on the Mello front, remember, he's basically a witness because of his contact. He was reached out to by some of these intimidated witnesses. They didn't call 911. They didn't call the cops. They called the DA, or at least the DA's henchmen, right? And so that's why the defense wants Mello's information now. And that's why the fact that he's still an attorney of record, which is ridiculous, is allowing them to further protect him from evidence that's going to come out if there is a trial, either by hearing, pre-trial hearing, at the time of trial. The contact that Mello had with these alleged victims is going to be huge.
Yeah, very, very interesting. So we're going to re-rack. We're going to rack the interview, actually, that we did. Let Aidan take over. I mean, we're all going to go see what he just says, right? And by the way, while you were gone, Madeira Beach caregiver did note that Sergeant Barrows did send her a nice note back because remember she made a donation to the police department.
That's right.
Fund people that officers. So maybe we should reach back out to. Has been a suggestion we should reach out to him, and then we should reach out to Paula Prado again, the jurors at this time. Now that we're, we don't want to forget Karen Reed's case, but we want to make sure we're also covering Aidan's case. And then I said something else. I said, I think I know where you're going to be August 13th at 2 o'clock.
Yeah, that's a very good chance. I hope they keep it at 2 o'clock. I hope they keep my schedule in mind. Yeah.
So we're gonna be back at 6 o'clock tonight.
Let me go through the calendaring again because I got a little confused about this. They ended up cycling the whole thing back to August 13th, which is I'm no math major, but that's more than 2 or 3 weeks from now. I think there has to be some interim, not a hearing, but some sort of back and forth between the parties in the next 2 weeks or so on these impoundment issues. That was the original issue that Cosgrove wanted more time on. Can I get some time? Okay, how about a week? No, can I have 2 weeks? Okay. Doolin's like,
and the judge
sure.
the judge said he have a decision in 3 weeks. I think you're going to have that decision, and there's going to be some fallout from that decision.
And I think it's going to be, okay, Cosgrove, here's your opportunity, but I've already made my mind up on this. Logic dictates this stuff should no longer be impounded. Maybe I'm wrong. That's the way I think it's going to go. That will happen before the August 13th hearing.
Okay. All right. We'll see. Well, we know it's coming. All right. So we have a lot to do before we hit our 6 o'clock show. All of you should go listen to Aidan. I know he's going to be asking for, I said, donations to support him, if you can, for his defense fund. And you remember, this is for all of us. This is a First Amendment issue. This is not just about Aidan Kearney. This is about the United States Constitution. So, Michael Bryant, before we say goodbye, besides subscribe, like, share, notify, till we see everybody at 6, any last words?
Yes. Yeah. In the meantime, I'm going to get some pizza. I'll try to do the right thing.
See you later.
On the